You know what's funny about horror movies? Everyone always says, I would have survived that, or I would have just done this instead. Well, I've spent years of my life analyzing horror movies, and I found 10 monsters that you absolutely would not survive, no matter how smart you think that you are. And the most dangerous one, it's not even what you're thinking. It's not the biggest, it's not the strongest, but it's the one that has 100% kill rate. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why this particular monster makes survival completely impossible. Look, I already know that you're thinking, not me, I'm built different. Don't be that guy that hits the like and subscribe button and then comments it in the comments. Everyone did that on my last video. Trust me, I've seen thousands of horror movies and I'm about to show you why these monsters, they're built different. Let's start with something that seems simple. The pale lady from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, kind of a baddie. You're probably thinking, oh great, another slow walking ghost lady, just run the other way. I mean, that's horror 101, right? See spooky thing, run away from spooky thing. But here's the thing, the pale lady doesn't play by your rules. She doesn't need to chase you because she's already everywhere you're gonna run. Think about it, she literally controls the space around you. Every hallway leads back to her, every door opens to her, every turn brings you face to face with that cute smile. The very fabric of reality becomes her weapon. Just break through a wall, you say? Well, good luck with that when she's warping reality itself. This isn't your standard ghost that you can outsmart with salt circles or ancient prayers or Scooby-Doo magic shit. The pale lady turns the very concept of escape against you. You can't fight what you can't comprehend, and she operates on a level that makes your basic understanding of space and time completely useless. What makes her truly terrifying isn't just her appearance though that smile will haunt your nightmares. And that figure. It's the absolute certainty of your encounter. She doesn't just kill you, she makes you walk right into her arms like a warm, embracing hug, and then you get absorbed into her, which is kind of weird. It's literally like getting the choice of 3 doors, but all of them end in your doom. Let's talk about that walk. She doesn't rush, doesn't run, she doesn't even need to. That slow, inevitable approach is psychological warfare at its finest. Your brain has time to process exactly what's about to happen, but can't do anything about it. It's like having sleep paralysis, except you're wide awake and your legs are working just fine. They're just taking you exactly where she wants you to go. Sure, you could try cardio. Maybe train for a marathon, hit the gym, become the next Olympic sprinter, yada yada, but when reality itself is working against you, your Fitbit stats aren't gonna save you. The pale lady isn't just a monster. It's a reminder that sometimes the scariest thing isn't what's chasing you. It's the realization that you were never in control to begin with. She doesn't just kill you, she makes you understand with every step that escape was never an option. But if you think being trapped in an endless corridor with your ex is bad, wait until you see what our next monster does to the very concept of reality itself. Speaking of reality bending horrors, let's talk about the Rituals monster. You know, that massive antlered forest god that's basically what would happen if Norse mythology had a nightmare. Actually, scratch that. Since writing that in my script, I looked up Norse mythology. It's all a nightmare anyways. This is pretty par for the course. And before you say, just stay out of the woods, good luck with that when the thing can literally get inside your head and make you walk right into the forest. Think about every survival skill you've learned from watching horror movies. Running, this thing owns the entire forest. Every tree, every shadow, every path is its playground. Hiding, it can make you see whatever it wants you to see. Your perfect hiding spot probably doesn't even exist. Fighting back? Dude, come on. Try throwing hands with an ancient deity that's been collecting sacrifices since before your ancestors figured out how to make fire. But what if I just, no, stop right there. This isn't your typical woodland critter that you can just outsmart with some clever traps or avoid with a GPS. This thing doesn't just hunt you physically. It psychologically dismantles you piece by piece. It reaches into your mind, pulls out your deepest traumas and uses them as bait. Imagine trying to escape while constantly reliving your worst memories and traumas. I literally have a 6th grader beating me up because I didn't give them my sandwich. You'd be unable to trust if what you're seeing is real or just another trick. Your own mind becomes a maze you can't escape from. But that's not even the worst part, because let's talk about its followers, because nothing says you're absolutely screwed quite like an ancient cult that's been keeping this thing fed for centuries. These people have turned survival into a religion. And guess what? You're not the survivor in their story. You're the sacrifice. They've got home field advantage, generations of experience, and the backing of a literal forest Norse god. Your weekend camping trips and that one time you went hiking, that's like bringing a water pistol to nuclear warfare. But the worst part, this monster doesn't just want to end you. It wants to break you. It wants you to understand your place in the food chain. You're not just dealing with some mindless beast. You're up against something that's been perfecting the art of horror since before humans invented writing. It's patient, it's intelligent, and it knows exactly how to make you lose your mind before it takes your life. So unless you've got a degree in Norse mythology, the survival skills of Bear Grylls, and the mental fortitude of a Buddhist monk, you're not making it out of those woods. And even if you had all that, you'd just be a more entertaining sacrifice. But at least with the ritual monster, you can see what's coming for you. Our next creature, it's what happens when evolution has a mental breakdown. And trust me, you're not ready for this one. Let's talk about the monsters from the void and why your brain would probably break before they even got to your body. You think you've seen body horror before? These Lovecraftian nightmares make the Thing look like a kid's puppet show. And no, that's not an exaggeration. These things literally reshape reality like it's Play-Doh. Just shoot them. I hear you typing in your comments. With what? Your human weapons against creatures that literally don't operate under the laws of physics? These things aren't just from another dimension. They're walking middle fingers to reality itself. Your bullets might as well be spitballs against beings that can turn your intestines into tentacles and your skin into a doorway to hell. And trust me, that's not even the worst thing they can do to you. And then let's talk about the cult that worships them, because apparently these cosmic horrors come with their own fan club of humans who've completely lost their mind. But here's the truly terrifying part. The cultists aren't crazy. They've just seen enough to understand how insignificant we really are. When you're face to face with something that makes reality its plaything, madness starts looking pretty reasonable. The cultists aren't the real monsters here. They're just a preview of what's coming. The real nightmare isn't just what these creatures can do to your body. It's what they can do to your understanding of existence. Every rule you thought you knew about how the world works, gone. The laws of physics, more like suggestions. Your own body, just clay for them to reshape into their own twisted art project. And they get quite creative. Imagine Picasso on acid with the power to remake flesh. Sure, you might think you're tough. Maybe you've got military training, maybe you're a survival expert, maybe you've got a really big frying pan. But what's your contingency plan for when your own arm decides to grow eyes and start speaking in 7 different tongues? What's the survival strategy for when the wall behind you suddenly becomes alive and hungry? There's no survival guide for dealing with entities that treat our dimension like a personal playground. The worst part, you can't even go insane properly. These things keep you conscious enough to experience every moment of your transformation. You don't get the mercy of losing your mind. You stay aware as reality itself turns against you. They want you to understand exactly what's happening as they unmake everything you thought was real. But as cosmically terrifying as the void creatures are, at least they're obvious about being monsters. Our next nightmare, it wears a human face, and that might be the scariest part of all, because sometimes the worst monsters are the ones that could have been human. So speaking of monsters wearing human faces, let's talk about the mother from Barbarian. And before you say, oh, it's just a mutant in a basement, let me explain why this creature is a masterclass and why you're absolutely fucked. If you thought your mom was overbearing, buckle up. This takes helicopter parenting to a whole new underground level. Think you'll just avoid the basement? Ha! That's cute. The mother has turned an entire network of underground tunnels into her playground. We're talking about a labyrinth that would make the Minotaur jealous, except instead of one monster, you've got something that combines superhuman strength with the most twisted version of maternal instinct you've ever seen. Your therapist is not going to be able to help you with these mommy issues, but I'd just fight back. Yeah, good luck with that. The mother isn't just strong. She's generations of inbreeding and survival distilled into pure nightmare fuel. You know how mama bears are terrifying when protecting their cubs? Now imagine that strength amplified by decades of underground evolution mixed with human intelligence and completely unrestrained by any moral compass. This isn't the kind of mother you can just send to a nursing home when she's getting too crazy. Here's what makes the mother truly terrifying. She doesn't just want to kill you, sometimes she wants to care for you. And trust me, that's a lot worse. Imagine being protected by something that thinks crushing your bones is a form of love. Your survival instincts become completely useless because everything you normally do to escape just makes her more determined to help you. Talk about attachment issues. And you thought your mom trying to add you on Snapchat was bad. Sure, you might be thinking, I'm pretty good at navigating dark places. Maybe you've got some spelunking experience, but I promise you, your weekend cave exploring hasn't prepared you for a tunnel system where every wrong turn leads to a creature that can snap you like a twig while trying to, nurse you. This isn't the kind of mother-child bonding experience they write cards about, let's just say. And let's talk about that darkness. The mother sees perfectly in it. She's evolved for it. You're stumbling around with your phone flashlight that's about to die. She knows every inch of those tunnels, every hiding spot, every dead end. It's like playing hide and seek with something that wrote the rule book, except the rules are all about how many ways she can break you And no, calling CPS is not an option. But at least with the mother, you know what you're dealing with once you see her. Our next monster, it's already closer than you think, because it might be living inside someone you know, and they don't even know it yet. Let's talk about Gabriel from Malignant, and why this parasitic twin makes your sibling rivalries look like a playground dispute. Think your brother stealing your Xbox controller was bad? Try having a literal monster living in the back of your head who can steal control of your entire body. And I mean that literally. This thing is the ultimate backseat driver from hell. Just fight back. Oh, you sweet, sweet child. How exactly do you plan to fight something that's basically hijacked your body's admin privileges? Gabriel isn't just some tumor with an attitude. He's a parasitic twin who turns your body into a murder puppet with superhuman strength. We're talking backwards running at sprint speeds, spine-breaking acrobatics, and the kind of flexibility that would make a contortionist say, nah, I'm good. Imagine being forced to do parkour against your will. 1 minute you're chilling on your couch, scrolling some TikTok, the next you're running backwards faster than Usain Bolt while your spine's doing interpretive dancing. Not exactly the kind of core workout you were planning, huh? Your Fitbit would have an absolute meltdown trying to track this. But here's what makes Gabriel truly terrifying. He's always there, just waiting. You can't block his number, you can't ghost him, and you definitely can't get a restraining order. It's like having the world's worst roommate, except they live in your skull and can take over your Netflix account and your entire body whenever they want. And trust me, Gabriel's watch list is nothing but horrible snuff films. And let's talk about his fighting style. This isn't your standard throw a punch, dodge a kick kind of fight. Gabriel turns your body into a human Swiss Army knife of horror. And you think you're tough because you did a few MMA classes, or you decide to pick up boxing because you like Logan Paul or something. Try fighting someone who can fold themselves into a human origami murder machine. This isn't street fighting. This is street fighting directed by David Cronenberg on bath salts. The scariest part, you wouldn't even know if you had your own Gabriel until it was too late. Maybe that weird headache isn't just from your energy drink addiction. Maybe those strange urges to just do backflips randomly isn't from watching too many Olympics. Maybe that voice in your head isn't just intrusive thoughts. That's something to think about, isn't it? But at least Gabriel only takes over one body at a time. Our next monsters, they're what happens when the entire upper class decides that being rich isn't enough. They want to be predators too. And trust me, eating the rich takes on a whole new meaning in this movie, because we gotta talk about the 1%, the socialites from society. Society! Get your jokes out already. I know what you're gonna say. This has nothing to do with the Joker. These monsters prove that eat the rich works both ways. You think wealth inequality is bad now? These trust fund babies don't just want your money. They want to literally turn you into their next juice cleanse. And I'm not even talking metaphorically here. Just avoid rich people. Yeah, because that's totally possible in late stage capitalism. These aren't just your standard Instagram influencers flaunting their sugar daddy's credit card. These are shape-shifting elites who've been running the world's longest running dinner party. Imagine if the entire cast of Desperate Housewives could melt into flesh-eating blobs and absorb you for nutrients. Sorry for that mental image, by the way. What makes the socialites truly terrifying is how they've turned the whole system into their personal kitchen. They don't just have money, they have influence, connections, and enough power to make you disappear faster than your ex's text messages after they break up with you. Think about it. When was the last time you saw a billionaire actually face consequences for anything? Now you know why. They were too busy having their critics for breakfast. Literally. Sure, you might think you're safe because you shop at Target instead of Gucci, but these monsters have turned social climbing the ladder into an all-you-can-eat buffet. That LinkedIn connection request from the CEO, that's not a networking opportunity. That's a dinner reservation. And spoiler alert, you're not getting the job. You are the job. And the position is the roasted turkey on Thanksgiving. Let's talk about their feeding process. They call it shunting. Remember that scene in your high school biology class that makes you queasy? These people don't just eat you. They turn you into human fondue at their twisted country club adult fun time parties, if you catch my drift. Your credit card debt might be sucking you dry, but at least it's not literally turning you into upper class soup. The worst part, they've been doing this since before your great-great-great-great-grandpa was a twinkle in someone's eye. Every market crash, every housing crisis, every time your rent went up, that wasn't just the invisible hand of the market. That was the socialites getting the munchies. They're not just eating you, they're digesting the entire socioeconomic ladder, one tax bracket at a time. But at least the socialites, you can try to stay poor and off their radar. Our next monsters, they don't care about your bank account. They just care about whether you can keep quiet. And spoiler alert, you definitely can't. Now let's talk about the monsters from A Quiet Place and why your loud self wouldn't last 5 minutes in their world. And as someone with Tourette's, let me tell you, you, I'd be the first one to go. These things can hear you blink too loud from a mile away. And I'm over here yelling random noises like, like it's my job. I remember as a kid, I'd be trying to sit quietly in class and I just couldn't do it. It didn't make any sense to me. Why can I not just be silent? And then I become an adult and I realized, oh, that's why. But for me, it'd be game over before it even starts. I wouldn't make it past 3 years old. Just be quiet. Oh, you sweet, sweet child. Can't even watch Netflix without the subtitles. And I'm literally a human noise machine. These creatures don't just hear well. They've turned the entire planet into one giant game of Deadly Simon Says. Except the only rule is shut up or die. Anytime I would do something, it would basically be a dinner bell for these things. Come and get your free meal, now with sound effects. Let's break down why we're all absolutely screwed. First off, do you have any idea how many involuntary sounds your body makes? Sneezing, coughing, stomach growling, and that's just normal people. Me, I'm like a one-man band of random noises. Got allergies? Dead. Sleep apnea? Dead. Random urge to shout pickle in the middle of hiding? Dead, dead, dead. Farting in your sleep? Dead. Sure, you might think you could adapt. Maybe you know some sign language, maybe you're good at being stealthy, but let me ask you this. Have you ever tried to step on a Lego in complete silence? Because in this world, that would be the difference between life and death. And don't even get me started on trying to use the bathroom quietly. That's a whole new level of performance anxiety that I am not used to. Like, imagine you gotta poop really, really bad, but you gotta do it silently. I don't know how that's possible. The real nightmare isn't just staying quiet, it's staying quiet forever. Every single movement has to be planned, every step calculated. Imagine trying to cook dinner without making a sound. Or better yet, imagine trying to tell someone you love them without making a noise. Maybe that's why no one's ever told me that they love me. Now imagine trying to do that for the rest of your life. These monsters would basically have all of our locations on speed dial. And let's talk about those hunting speeds. These things move faster than my mom when I accidentally swear in front of my grandma. By the time you've realized you've made a sound, they're already there and their face is doing that origami thing that, you know what, we don't even have to go there. But at least with these creatures, you know exactly what attracts them. Our next monster, it doesn't just haunt you, it makes you relive your worst memories while it does it. And trust me, this one's gonna make you wish you were just dealing with super hearing monsters. Let's talk about the bear from Annihilation and why this isn't your average picnic basket thief. You think regular bears are scary? Boy, this one's got a built-in Bluetooth speaker playing nothing but death screams. And not just random screams. We're talking about your friend's last moments on repeat like the world's most traumatizing TikTok sound. Just climb a tree. My brother in Christ, you are not that guy. Have you seen a regular bear climb? They're basically furry rockets with claws. Now imagine one that's been dunked in alien juice and can perfectly mimic your bestie's cry for help. This isn't your average forest creature. It's what happens when Mother Nature watches too many psychological thrillers and decides to get a bit experimental. Let's break this down. Normal bears can already smell your fear from a mile away and bench press your car for fun. This one, it's got all that plus a PhD in psychological warfare. Picture this, you hear your friend screaming, "Help me," so you run to save them, only to find out it's actually a mutant bear doing its best impression. That's not hunting, that's therapy-inducing trauma with fur. Sure, you might think you're ready because you've watched every Bear Grylls episodes. Make yourself look big, make noise, play dead. Cool plan. Except this bear's already got a whole playlist of the greatest hits from its previous victims. It's literally like a karaoke box and it just picks out the most disturbing sounds it can think of. The worst part isn't even that it'll kill you, it's that it'll make you famous for all the wrong reasons. This thing is basically running nature's most twisted podcast and you're about to become the next episode. Your final moments? Just another sample in its mixtape. Except this mixtape is not fire, it's deadly. And let's talk about how beautiful this thing looks. This isn't your average chunky boy who's gotten into too many honey pots. This bear looks like someone described a grizzly to an AI that was only trained on heavy metal album covers and bad acid trips. It's what happens when evolution says, you know what would make bears worse? Everything. But at least the bear keeps its horror on solid ground. Our next monster, it turns the sky itself into a death trap. And trust me, after this, you're never gonna trust a cloud again. Let's talk about Jean Jacket from Nope. You think UFOs are scary? This thing makes alien abduction look like a Spirit Airlines flight. And that's saying something. Imagine a cosmic predator that turns the entire sky into its personal DoorDash radius. And you're not the delivery driver, you're the meal. Just stay indoors. My guy, this thing can literally disguise itself as a cloud. Yeah, that cute little bunny-shaped cloud you've pointed out to your girlfriend could have been a giant space jellyfish waiting to slurp you up like the last bit of boba in your tea. There goes your entire childhood of cloud watching. Thanks, trauma. Let's break down why you're absolutely done for. This isn't your standard History Channel UFO trying to probe you for science. Jean Jacket is what happens when evolution looks at a jellyfish and thinks, you know what would make this worse? If it could fly and eat entire crowds the size of Coachella. It doesn't just eat you, it It puts you through its cosmic washing machine on the wrong spin cycle while making it rain blood like the world's most metal weather system. Sure, you might think you're safe because you've got a roof over your head, but this thing EMPs all your electronics faster than your mom shutting off the Wi-Fi at night. No phones, no cameras, no tweeting your last moments. Gen Z would be fucked. And let's talk about that feeding process. You don't just die. You get to experience being trapped in its giant alien stomach with everyone else it caught, like the worst music festival mosh pit ever. Except instead of crowd surfing, you're just surfing through other people's remains. It's basically a cosmic water park where every slide ends in digestion. The scariest part, it's patient. This thing will just chill there, waiting to turn your backyard barbecue into its personal Uber Eats order. Planning an outdoor birthday party? That's not rain that's about to ruin your cake. That's Jean Jacket deciding your whole party looks like an appetizer sampler. But at least with Jean Jacket, you can see your doom coming, even if it's pretending to be a cute little cloud sheep. Our final monster, it's already in your head, because it is your head. And after this one, you'll never want to open your mouth again. Our final monster, the one that makes all the others look like a Sesame Street episode, the language zombies from Pontypool. You may not know about this movie, but you're gonna wish you don't after watching this. You know how your mom said words can't hurt? Well, these ones don't just hurt. They literally scramble your brain like an egg in a blender and turn you into a murder-happy zombie. Just don't talk. Bro, you can't even go 5 minutes without checking Twitter. The virus isn't just in talking, it's in understanding the English language itself. That's right, the language you're using right now to think this guy is stupid is exactly what's gonna turn your brain into zombie soup. Even your inner voice saying, bruh, isn't safe. Try not thinking in English. Go ahead. I'll wait. Yeah, that's what I thought. Let's break down why this is peak we're all screwed territory. You can't run from it. You can't fight it. You can't even think about fighting it without risking infection. It's like having a virus that spreads through understanding itself. The moment certain words click in your head, boom, you're done. It's basically Duolingo's evil twin, except instead of passive aggressive notifications, you get actual death. Sure, you might think, I'll just learn another language. Right, because you've been so successful with those 3 years in high school Spanish. Most of us still point at menu items like cavemen, and now you're gonna become fluent in Korean overnight? Good luck with that speed run while English is trying to delete your brain. The real nightmare, you can't even warn anybody. Every attempt to explain the danger just spreads it faster. Imagine trying to tell someone their shoelaces are untied, but saying shoelaces makes their feet explode. That's the level of messed up we're dealing with. Even this video would be lethal in that world. I'm sorry, I guess. But here's the kicker. You never know which words are infected. Having a nice chat about the weather. Congrats, you're patient zero. Trying to order at McDonald's? Well, the ice cream machine isn't the only thing that's broken anymore. Now it's your brain too. It's like playing Wordle, where every wrong guess turns you into a zombie. And that's why out of all of these monsters, the language zombies are the most terrifying. Because right now, as you're watching this, you're using the very thing that could kill you. You know what's funny about horror movies? Everyone's a survival expert from their couch. Just don't go in the basement. Why would you split up? Well, today I'm gonna crush your main character syndrome with 10 supernatural entities from 10 different horror movies that would absolutely wreck you. The scariest part, the deadliest one at the end isn't even what you'd expect. It's got a 100% kill rate, and your plot armor, yeah, it's thinner than you think. If you're already typing, not me though, I'm built different, in the comments, hit pause, hit the like button, and subscribe. Because by the end of this video, you'll realize that the only thing scarier than these monsters is how wrong you are about to be about surviving them. Trust me, your built different is not built for this. Let's start with what everyone thinks is the easy mode of supernatural threats. The entities from Ghostbusters. You're probably thinking, really? The movie with the giant marshmallow man? Yeah, I see you in the comments already typing, but they're just funny ghosts. Let me explain why you wouldn't last 5 minutes in this universe. And no, your engineering degree or your anime training wouldn't save you. First up, we're not dealing with your friendly neighborhood Casper here. We're talking about Gozer, an ancient god that can literally choose any form to destroy you with. Remember what happened when the characters had to make that choice? One random thought about a marshmallow mascot turned into a 100-foot death machine. Now imagine what your anxiety-riddled brain would cook up. That embarrassing memory from 3rd grade that keeps you up at night? Congrats, it's now 50 stories tall and shooting lightning. I'd just build my own proton pack. Right, because we all have spare nuclear accelerators lying around next to our Christmas decorations. The real Ghostbusters were literal scientists with PhDs, and even they nearly caused total protonic reversal.
That's bad.
That's science talk for goodbye existence. Speaking of which, let's talk about those proton streams. Crossing them is basically hitting the delete button on reality itself. The Ghostbusters almost ended the world by accident multiple times, and they were professionals. Me and you can barely park without having an existential crisis. Come on. But here's the real kicker. Even if you somehow got all of the equipment working, you'd still have to actually catch these things. I've seen all of us try to catch spiders with a cup. Now imagine doing that with a nuclear-powered laser beam against something that can fly through walls and possess you faster than your ex possessed your Netflix account. But hey, if you think Ghostbusters is too easy mode, just wait until you see what our next monster does. At least the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man had the courtesy to be visible. If you're taking a selfie and hated how you look, well, imagine checking your phone and finding pictures of your own dead body. Welcome to Lake Mungo, where your camera roll becomes your obituary. Now, I know what you're thinking. Another ghost story? Please, I've watched them all. But this isn't your standard ghost orb caught on camera situation. This is next level psychological warfare. Just don't go to the lake. Wow, revolutionary thinking there, Chief. But here's the thing. Lake Mungo isn't just about a haunted location. It's about seeing your own future death in crystal clear HD and knowing there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Think about it. Every time you check your phone, every security camera you pass, every Zoom call you join, you might catch a glimpse of your own corpse just chilling in the background. Try doom scrolling through Instagram with that kind of paranoia. Your screen time would drop faster than your will to live. But I just changed my fate. Ha ha. Right, because you're clearly smarter than every other person who's tried that in the history of horror. This isn't Final Destination where you can just avoid tanning beds and roller coasters. This is your own personal ghost showing up to spoil the ending of your life story. But hey, at least with Lake Mungo, you only have to see yourself die once. Our next monster is gonna make you experience death on repeat, like a looping TikTok or YouTube short trend that you can't escape. Think being stuck in a time loop would be fun? Wake up, try something new, eventually figure it out like Bill Murray? Yeah, Triangle is about to make you never want to hit the snooze button again. Now I can already see you in the comments. Just map out every possibility and find the exit pattern. My friend, this isn't your Sunday morning puzzle hunt. This is what happens when time itself decides to bully you harder than the people bullied me as a child. Here's your situation. You're trapped on an abandoned ocean cruise ship. Spooky, but manageable, right? Until you start running into other versions of yourself. Not just one or two, we're talking about enough yous to fill a concert venue. I just work with my other selves to escape. Haha, right, because you're such a team player with yourself. How many decisions do you have to fight yourself on a day-to-day basis? Now imagine trying to coordinate with 50 different versions of you, each one more unhinged than the last. And here's where it gets really messed up. Every single attempt to break free just creates more loops. You're not just dying once, you've become your own kill compilation video. And the best part, you remember every single time. It's like having your most embarrassing memory played on repeat, except the embarrassing part is watching yourself die again and again. But I document everything and solve the pattern. Come on, man, we barely remember our phone passwords every morning. But sure, we'll definitely keep track of infinite timelines while watching ourselves become the speedrun champions of death. The worst part, your consciousness stays intact through it all. Your brain doesn't reset, it just keeps stacking trauma like a Jenga tower of psychological damage. Your therapist would literally need a therapist at this point. But hey, at least on this cruise ship, you've got some room to run around. Our next nightmare, it locks you in an abandoned psychiatric hospital where the building itself is playing a deadly game of floor is lava. Except the floor isn't lava, it's just another entrance to your personal hell. You ever watch those ghost hunting shows and think, wow, these people are so dramatic over literally nothing. Well, Grave Encounters is what happens when the ghosts finally get tired of your 1-star Yelp reviews, decide to turn your paranormal investigation into permanent residency. I can hear you. Please, I've got the night vision cameras and one of those spirit box things from Amazon. Cool equipment, bro. Let's see how this works when the building decides to play Tetris with its own architecture. Here's your nightmare scenario. You're locked in a psychiatric hospital where time just gave up. It's always night, forever. Think that's not so bad? Try pulling an internal all-nighter while the building's playing SimCity with itself. That exit you found? Surprise, it's now a wall. The hallway you came from? Hope you like rock climbing. I just map out the building. With what? Your iPhone's compass app? The building changes faster than my ex updated their relationship status on Facebook. Your carefully planned escape route just becomes abstract art and not the kind that sells for millions. And these ghosts, they're not just here to haunt you. These entities are what happen when trauma gets its own postal code. They don't want to photobomb your selfies like in other entries on our list. They want to make you their new bestie forever in the afterlife. And trust me, they're not making you friendship bracelets. But I document everything and it'd be okay, sure. Because angry spirits totally respect your content creation schedule. Your phone's going to have less battery than my will to live after reading the comments section. And that's assuming your ghosts don't turn your $1,000 iPhone into a very expensive paperweight. The real kicker, the longer you stay, the more your brain turns into a scrambled egg. Every door becomes a trust issue. Every wall starts looking suspicious. It's like being designed in a killer escape room. But hey, at least these ghosts are upfront about wanting you dead. Our next nightmare, it's got a whole multi-generational plan for your soul, and spoiler alert, your family tree is about to become kindling for a very different kind of housewarming party. So you've watched a few episodes of ghost hunting shows, and now you think you're actually ready to take on a real haunted house. Let me introduce you to Bathsheba, the witch who's about to turn your paranormal investigation into a permanent retirement plan in the home of death. I already know what you're saying, just cleanse the house with sage. Aw, that's adorable. You think your Etsy crystals and TikTok cleansing rituals are gonna work on a witch who's been terrorizing families since before electricity was a thing? Let's break down your actual situation. You're not just dealing with a haunted house, you're dealing with cursed land. Your property value isn't just dropping, you're doing a speed run to zero. That sage bundle you've bought, might as well try fighting Godzilla with a pool noodle. I'll just call an exorcist. Right, because demon removers are totally available on DoorDash and on a whim. Even the Warrens, who literally had a museum of cursed objects in their basement, almost got deleted trying to handle the situation. Your local psychic who reads palms at the mall isn't exactly qualified for this promotion. Here's the real nightmare fuel. Bathsheba doesn't want to spook you, she wants to possess you and turn you into your family's personal murder playlist. Imagine your mom's passive-aggressive comments at Thanksgiving, except now she's actually trying to turn you into human sacrifice. Family game night just got way more competitive. Then I'll just move away. Dude, this isn't a real estate problem. It's a witch picked your bloodline as her favorite reality show problem. She's more persistent than your ex who still watches your posts after 2 years later. And good luck researching your way out of this one. You can't figure out why your Wi-Fi keeps dropping home. But sure, you'll definitely crack the case of a century-old curse while dodging possession attempts and trying not to get murdered by your own IKEA furniture. But hey, at least with this witch, you can see what's coming for you. Our next nightmare, it's gonna make you question every mirror you've ever owned. And trust me, your reflection's been waiting a long time for this reunion. You know that thing where you stare at your reflection too long, start freaking yourself out? Well, the Lasser glass is about to turn your mirror anxiety into a full-blown psychological nightmare. And no, your oddly satisfying mirror cleaning TikTok hacks aren't gonna help you here. Let me guess, just set up cameras everywhere. Adorable. This mirror doesn't just show reflections, it literally rewrites reality. Those fancy cameras you set up, congratulations, you just bought really expensive paperweights. Here's the fun part. This mirror can make you bite into a light bulb while fully convinced it's an apple. Let that sink in. We still get confused by push-pull doors, but you think you can really outsmart something that can literally Control-Alt-Delete your perception of reality? I just prepare backup plans. Ah, right, because Home Alone style traps are totally gonna work when the mirror can make you forget they even exist. This thing's got more mind games than all the 20-year-old exes combined, and it's been practicing them since before Instagram filters were a thing. The real nightmare fuel? Nothing is trustworthy. Is your hand really on fire, or is it fine? It's like having a gaslighting expert living in your house, except this one's been perfecting its craft for centuries. And forget about keeping track of time. This mirror warps hours like your TikTok For You page at 3 AM. Except instead of losing time to dance trends and funny cat videos, you're watching yourself slowly lose your grip on reality. Then I'll just destroy it. Sure, and I bet you think you can delete all your embarrassing photos from the internet too. This mirror's got better survival skills than a Nokia phone in like a blender. But hey, at least this nightmare stays in one place, right? Our next paranormal monster, it's about to make your cardio routine look like a joke, because no amount of running is gonna save you for what's coming. You know how people say just keep moving forward in life and everything will be okay? Well, It Follows is about to turn that motivational poster in your mom's living room to your worst nightmare. And no, your Fitbit tracking isn't gonna help you escape this one. I can already hear all the fitness bros. Just outrun it. Listen, Marathon Man, this isn't your local 5K. This entity's got infinite stamina, perfect GPS tracking, and absolutely zero chill. It's like having a stalker X as supernatural cardio in a restraining order that just makes them laugh. Here's the fun part. It can look like literally anyone. Your mom, your best friend, that guy who always takes the last coffee at work, and only you can see it. Try explaining to your friends why you're running from a Girl Scout who's trying to sell you cookies. No guys, I swear that 8-year-old is not trying to kill me. I'll just move to another continent. Cute. While you're dealing with TSA and jet lag, this thing's already walking across the ocean floor like it's taking a sunset beach stroll. The Pacific Ocean is just a really big puddle to this thing. The real nightmare fuel, every single person walking towards you becomes sus. Is that actually your grandma coming in for a hug? Or is it the entity about to yeet you into the afterlife? Congrats, you now have trust issues with every human out there. Sleep, that's adorable. While you're catching your Z's, it's catching up. It's basically a Terminator powered by anxiety. It absolutely will not stop until you are dead. Your power naps just became power panic attacks. Then I'll just fight it. Yeah, good luck with that UFC strategy against something that literally can't die. What's your backup plan? But hey, at least with the It Follows, you can see death walking towards you. Our next nightmare, it's already dead, lying on a cold metal slab. And trust me, this autopsy is about to reveal why some bodies should stay unexamined. You ever Googled your random symptoms when you're sick at 3 a.m. and convince yourself you're dying? Well, Jane Doe is about to make your medical anxiety look like a paper cut. And no, binge watching Grey's Anatomy with your mom did not prepare you for this. It's just a dead body. What's the big deal? Oh, my sweet, sweet friend. This isn't your standard anatomy class cadaver. This is what happens when a centuries-old witch decides to play dead. And spoiler alert, she not dead. Let's break down your situation. You're locked in a morgue with the world's most suspicious corpse. No decay, no rigor mortis, but inside, every trauma imaginable with 0 external marks. It's like someone played Operation on nightmare mode and you just buzzed all of the edges. Just leave. Cute. You think the witch who's been playing dead longer than the Rizzler's been alive is gonna let you just get out of this situation? This morgue isn't just your workplace anymore. It's her escape room, and you're about to become the permanent exhibit. Here's where it gets spicy. She doesn't just wake up. She brings all your other patients at the morgue to the party. Imagine every single dead body at your job coming alive. That's not fun. I'll fight back with my medical equipment because I'm working in a morgue. Right, because your dissection kit and scalpel is totally gonna work against something that took a medieval burning at the stake as a spa day. You're done. But hey, at least Jane Doe waits until you start the autopsy before ruining your life. Our next nightmare, it's been planning your family's destructions before your grandparents met. And trust me, this one's inheritance you can't decline. Now, the paranormal entity that you're definitely not going to survive, the big baddie, well, let me introduce you to the Grams from Hereditary, where family drama means accidentally becoming a vessel for an ancient demon king. And no amount of family therapy sessions are going to prepare you for this level of ancestral trauma. Just don't participate in the cult stuff. Dude, this isn't the girl that you went to high school with trying to sell you crystals to be a part of her MLM. This is Payman, a demon king who's been working on your family's downfall longer than literally movies have been made. Let's break down your actual situation. Your entire bloodline has been carefully curated like some demonic breeding program. That weird thing your grandma always did? Not quirky, it was ritual preparation. Those specific family traditions, actually, that's demon worship. That antique locket she left you as a cute little gift when she died, basically it's a demon's tracking device. I'll just cut off contact with my family. Right, because that always works so well in the history of forever. You think you can just ghost a demon king who's been investing in your bloodline longer than literally everything's been alive? This isn't blocking a weird stalker. This is trying to block a supernatural demon. Here's the real nightmare fuel though. The possession is coming from inside the family. Mom's not just being passive aggressive at Thanksgiving anymore. She's being possessed aggressive. And dad's dad jokes, they're about to get way darker. Like summoning ancient evil darker. And your sister, she's about to lose her head. Then I'll just refuse to cooperate. Cute, do you think free will exists when dealing with a demon who's been planning your life since before movies have been around? This isn't like declining a party invite to a weird family get-together. This is literally being forced to show up. The ultimate plot twist though? Payman doesn't want to kill you. That would be too easy. He wants to wear you like a designer meat suit for eternity. Yeah, dude wants to basically flex your skin like it's Gucci. You ever watched a horror movie and thought, these people are stupid, I could easily survive this? Well, think again, because today we're diving into the world of horror villains so horrifying, so unstoppable that even you won't be able to survive them. And don't be that one guy that comments, nah, not me though. Because by the end of this video, you will see that there's no way you are surviving these horror villains. But if you want a better chance of surviving them, here's a friendly tip. Hit the like and subscribe button, because if you don't, they're gonna be at your door tonight. That is not a threat, that's a promise. First up, let's talk about Art the Clown. A name that sounds harmless until you realize this mime makes Pennywise look like party entertainment. Art is from the Terrifier series, and believe me, he's not here to make you balloon animals. He might make your intestines into balloon animals, but who knows? So who is Art the Clown? Picture a clown dressed in black and white, face painted a ghastly white, and a smile that says, "Run while you still can." Oh, and did I mention that he's completely silent? He doesn't speak at all. Nothing screams terror like a clown who doesn't scream at you. Art first came into our nightmares in the 2013 film All Hallows Eve, before getting his own spotlight in the Terrifier franchise. He lurks the streets on Halloween night, but instead of collecting candy, he's more into collecting other things. With superhuman strength and an uncanny ability to survive just about anything, he's less of a man and more of a supernatural phenomenon. So let's get to the burning question. Why wouldn't you survive an encounter with Art? Well, for starters, he can teleport. Yes, you heard that right. You think you've lost him in a dark alley? Think again. He's probably already waiting for you around the next corner. And his silence, it means you'll never even hear him coming until it's too late. Art's unpredictability is another fatal flaw in your survival plan. He doesn't follow the usual horror villain handbook. One moment he's toying with his victims, the next he's unleashed a level of brutality that's off the charts. This clown does not play by the rules. In fact, in the first Terrifier movie, he seems like the type of killer who likes knives, blunt objects, and other sorts of things like that to do his business, until it looks like one of the main characters is about to beat him. That's when he pulls out a fucking gun. In normal horror movies, usually a killer sticks to their weapon of choice. Not Art. Nothing is off the table for him. Trying to outsmart him is like playing a chess with a grandmaster. You won't win. And the stakes are a tad higher than bragging rights this time though. But let's not forget his superhuman strength. This isn't your average circus clown. Art can tear limbs off like he's pulling apart a rotisserie chicken. Overpowering him physically? It's not gonna happen. And weapons? He's got a whole arsenal, favoring anything with a sharp edge. Your best bet? Well, there isn't one. Oh, and if you think you're hiding, remember that creativity I mentioned? Art's got a knack for turning the mundane into the macabre. He's extraordinarily inventive in his methods, and let's just say he doesn't believe in a quick and painless demise. The more you resist, the more elaborate your end becomes. So, do you think you could take Art down? If a teleporting, super strong, sadistic clown doesn't faze you, well, you might be the bravest person alive, or the next name on his list. But if you think a silent, teleporting clown is bad news, buckle up because we're diving into the twisted mind of a man who doesn't need superpowers to kill you. Meet John Kramer, better known as Jigsaw, the engineer of your worst nightmares and moral dilemmas you didn't know you had. Jigsaw isn't your run-of-the-mill horror villain. No supernatural abilities, no masks made of human skin, just a terminally ill man with a knack for engineering and a seriously warped sense of justice. John Kramer took a turn for the worst after a series of personal tragedies, including a cancer diagnosis and the loss of his unborn child. Instead of, seeking therapy, he decided to test people's will to live by placing them in elaborate death traps. Men will do anything but go to therapy, it seems. Because that's a normal coping mechanism. So why wouldn't you survive an encounter with Mr. Kramer? Well, let's get one thing straight. If you're on Jigsaw's radar, you're already in deep trouble. He doesn't pick his subjects at random. Nope, he zeroes in on those he deems unappreciative of their lives. And let's be honest, haven't we all hit snooze one too many times on opportunities in our life? But Jigsaw's traps aren't your average mouse traps. They're meticulously planned Ruby Goldberg nightmares designed to make you confront your darkest secrets. Think you can just hack your way out of them? Good luck. Each device is tailor-made to you, capitalizing on your fears and worst traits. It's like he read your diary, consulted your exes, and then weaponized that information. Escape, while theoretically possible, comes at a steep price. Success often means maiming yourself or making a choice that would haunt you forever. Lose a limb, sacrifice a friend, small stuff like that. And even if you do crawl out of one of his games, you're not off the hook. Jigsaw has a network of apprentices who are just as twisted and infinitely patient. They'll be watching, waiting for you to slip up, one wrong move, and you're back at square one. Or worse. Imagine waking up in a small room. The smell of rust and fear thicken the air. A creepy puppet rolls in on a tricycle and delivers the message, "I want to play a game." Spoiler alert, it's not f***ing Monopoly. The rules are simple yet horrifyingly complex, designed to break you physically and mentally. The clock is ticking, and every second brings you closer to an end you can't predict. But here's the kicker. Jigsaw doesn't see himself as a villain. In his mind, he's offering you a chance at redemption, a renewed appreciation for your life. All you have to do is survive his twisted obstacle course of doom. No biggie, right? Now, if you're psychotic, you might be saying to yourself right now, nah, not me. I would easily get through the Saw movies. Well, consider this. Jigsaw anticipates your every move. He's 3 steps ahead, having planned for every possible escape route you might consider. And let's not ignore the moral dilemma you're tossed into. Jigsaw loves a good ethical dilemma, forcing you to make choices that pit your survival against your conscience. It's a lose-lose situation, and he is fully aware of that. So unless you're a saint with nerves of steel and a genius-level IQ, the odds aren't in your favor. So next time you think about cutting corners or screwing over a friend of yours or even keeping secrets tucked away, just remember, Jigsaw is watching. And trust me, you don't want to play a game of Monopoly with him. But if you thought you could survive Saw, wait until you can't even trust the very people around you, or even yourself. That's why we gotta talk about The Thing. The Thing is an extraterrestrial nightmare that crash-landed into our imaginations via John Carpenter's 1982 classic. Forget cute little green Martians, this shape-shifting parasite is more interested in turning your life into a real-world game of Among Us. And spoiler alert, everyone becomes the imposter. So what makes The Thing so uniquely terrifying? For starters, it's not just another alien out to zap us with laser beams. No, it's far more evil. The Thing assimilates any living organism it touches, perfectly mimicking its appearance, memories, and behaviors. But you're probably saying to yourself right now, nah, not me, I'd survive. Well, let's break down why you wouldn't. First, The Thing's ability to imitate anyone or anything makes it impossible to know who to trust. Your best friend, your spouse, even your pet goldfish Goldie could be The Thing in disguise. It's like playing hide and seek, except the seeker wants to absorb you, and hiding is futile because The Thing might already be you. Second, the assimilation process is alarmingly rapid and, shall we say, comprehensive. You could be infected before you even finish reading this sentence. One moment you're sipping coffee, the next you're part of an alien hive mind bent on world domination. Not exactly how you'd plan your day out, is it? Third, trying to eliminate The Thing is like playing whack-a-mole on expert mode. Chop off a tentacle? Congratulations, you've just created a new, fully autonomous nightmare. Each severed part can act independently, meaning your attempts to destroy it might only multiply your problems literally. But let's say you're feeling optimistic. You arm yourself with a flamethrower because, as the movie shows, fire seems to do the trick. Great, except that requires you to first identify The Thing among a group of terrified, paranoid individuals. Good luck conducting a calm and orderly investigation when everyone's side-eyeing each other like contestants on a reality show gone wrong. And let's not overlook the psychological torment. Paranoia becomes your constant companion. Who can you trust? Can you even trust yourself? The stress alone could be your undoing before The Thing even makes its move. It's like me in my dating life. Everyone's out to get me. For legal reasons, that's a joke. So unless you've got a foolproof method for detecting alien parasites and a global network to implement mass screenings, which judging by recent events seems unlikely, surviving The Thing is a long shot at best. But if you're sitting there still thinking, nah, I'd win, let me tell you about a corrupt secret society that will make your vacations a nightmare. Welcome to the dark underbelly of travel nightmares, the Hostel organization. Unlike our previous foes, this isn't some supernatural entity or a lone madman with a flair for the dramatic. Nope, this is a well-oiled machine run by the world's elite who have, shall we say, unconventional hobbies. So, who are these people? Imagine a secret society where the wealthiest individuals bid tons of money for the privilege to well, let's just say it's not the kind of experience you'd find on a TripAdvisor. They operate globally, luring unsuspecting tourists into seemingly ordinary hostels. The promise? Affordable lodging and maybe a chance to meet fellow adventurers. The reality? A one-way ticket into the organization's dungeon. Now, why wouldn't you survive an encounter with these fine, rich folk? Let's start with the obvious. Unless you're hiding a $1 billion inheritance, you're not exactly in their tax bracket. And in this twisted game, money talks, especially when it's used to silence anyone who poses a threat. First off, the organization's reach is nothing short of terrifying. They're not just in one country or even in one continent, they're everywhere. They've got scouts, informants, and probably a friendly receptionist who's offering you a discount for paying in cash. Their tactics are also disturbingly effective. Victims are carefully selected, watched for weeks, even months to ensure they'll disappear without too many questions asked. Once targeted, you're drugged before you can say room service, waking up in a place where the term all-inclusive takes on a horrifying new meaning. So if you don't have a ton of friends and nobody is interested in your social life, you're the #1 target. But let's just say you're resourceful. Maybe you've seen a few action movies, know a bit of self-defense. Admiral, but remember, you're up against clients who pay top dollar for the experience. These aren't amateurs. They're people who can afford the best and most secure facilities to ensure nothing interrupts their little adventure. Escape? Highly unlikely when you're locked in a fortress designed to keep you in and the authorities out. Speaking of authorities, don't count on them for help. The Hostel organization has deep pockets and deeper connections, just like every government today. Bribes, blackmail, and influence mean local law enforcement might be inclined to look the other way, or worse, deliver you right back into their hands. It's a matter of time before they reel you back in. But if you think the scariest thing out there is a secret society of billionaires, well, that's cute, because let's take a detour into Cannibal City in Texas. It's time to go have dinner with a family of cannibals. One of them likes chainsaws. This is Leatherface, and he's proof that sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones without supernatural powers. He doesn't need to teleport or play mind games. Nope, he's all about brute force, a relentless pursuit, and a roaring chainsaw that he loves quite dearly. So who is this charming, handsome fellow? Leatherface, or Jedediah Sawyer if you're feeling formal, is the not-so-gentle giant from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Part of a cannibalistic family with a flair for interior design. You know, if bones and skin are your aesthetic. He's a mentally impaired individual who expresses himself with the only way he knows how, through terrifying masks made of human skin, and of course, his favorite power tool. Now you might think, he's just one guy. I could survive this, right? How can it be that hard to avoid him? Well, let's delve into why crossing paths with Leatherface is a one-way ticket to nowhere good. First off, Leatherface is built like a linebacker who ate another linebacker. His immense physical strength makes any notion of overpowering him laughable at best. Trying to wrestle the chainsaw from his hands, you might as well challenge a grizzly bear to a dance-off. But maybe you're saying to yourself, nah, I'm a fast runner, I'm nimble. Well, that brings us to our next hurdle. Location, location, location. Leatherface operates in the most remote areas imaginable. Places where GPS signals go to die and roadside assistance is a myth. The labyrinth rural settings are his home turf, and he knows every nook, cranny, and hidden shortcut. You're not just running from him, you're navigating his personal, dark, twisted playground. But maybe you're feeling resourceful. Perhaps you think hiding is the way to go. Unfortunately, Leatherface isn't a solo act. His family's got his back, quite literally. The Sawyer family is a tight-knit group of cannibals who are just as twisted and unhinged. While you're busy dodging Leatherface, you might stumble into Grandpa or Hitchhiker. And trust me, they're not there to offer sweet tea and crumpets. Now, let's address the wildcard factor. Leatherface's mental state. He's unpredictable, operating on a logic that defies reason. You can't negotiate or plead your way out of this one. Compassion, mercy, a moment of hesitation, they're not in his repertoire. His motivations are as opaque as the mask he wears, adding another layer of terror because you can never anticipate his next move. So, could you escape Leatherface? Statistically speaking, your chances are not great. Unlike other horror villains, there's no ancient curse to break or puzzle to solve. The terror is raw and immediate. It's fight or flight, and given his advantages, neither option bodes well for you. But if you're delusional, you might still be saying to yourself, nah, it's just a dude with a chainsaw, I can run faster than him. Well, let's dive into a curse that doesn't care about any of your survival skills, or your escape plans, or even how fast you can run. In fact, all it takes is a single watching of this videotape, and you are effed. Meet Samara Morgan, the pale-faced girl with a stringy black hairdo that's never seen a comb. Don't let her age fool you, this is no ordinary child. Samara is the vengeful spirit at the heart of the Ring series, and she's got a home movie she'd love for you to watch. It's not a rom-com. You might think you're safe as long as you steer clear, but here's the kicker. If you even know about Samara existing, chances are it's already too late. Curiosity might not kill the cat, but it will definitely punch your ticket when it comes to this cursed videotape. So what's the big deal about a grainy VHS tape? Well, watching it grants you a 7-day grace period before Samara decides to make a personal house call. And trust me, she's not dropping by for tea and cookies. Once the static of the video fades and the eerie images crawl across your screen, the countdown begins. There's no pausing, rewinding, or deleting this nightmare. Now you might think there's a loophole, some clever hack to dodge the inevitable. The legend says if you make a copy of the tape and convince someone else to watch it, you can pass the curse along like a twisted game of hot potato. Sounds simple, right? Here's the catch. You have to ensure the other person watches your copy, and good luck living with the guilt of dooming someone else. And let's not talk about those 7 days. They're not exactly a vacation. Samara has a way of making her presence known. Subtly at first, flicker of the TV, a random voicemail with nothing but static. But as the days tick down, the hauntings escalate. Sleep becomes a luxury as nightmares bleed into reality. By day 6, you're questioning your sanity, jumping at shadows, and probably regretting every life choice that led you here. But wait, it gets even better. Samara has a unique talent for technopathic shenanigans. What does that mean? She can manipulate electronics, appearing on screens whether they're on or off. Oh, you're gonna try unplugging your TV? That's cute. She'll just crawl out of your smartphone instead. What about physical resistance? Well, forget about it. You can't punt a ghost back into the well she crawled out of. Samara transcends the usual limitations of our normal world. Bullets, running away, barricading yourself in a room are all useless. Imagine this, it's day 7. You're huddled in a corner, every light in the house is on, surrounded by a futile ring of salt you've read about on some internet forum. The clock strikes midnight and the TV turns on by itself. Static fills the screen and she begins to emerge, small hand gripping the edge of the well, followed by that mop of hair covering her face. Now after watching this, you might still be saying to yourself, nah, I'd be able to survive all of these horror movies. Well, I'd like to invite you to the comments section to tell me why you would survive, because I think you're wrong. But if you really think you could survive, like this video and subscribe, because I'll be making another video just like this about analog horror entities that you definitely won't be able to survive. If you want to see more movies if you want to see me talk about more horror movies that are just as scary as these ones, click the video on screen right now. Last week, I got this comment that said, these horror movies aren't even scary. I would have survived. Well, that got me thinking. After analyzing hundreds of horror films, I've found 10 that came out this year that nobody can survive. Not the smart ones, not the strong ones, nobody. And the most terrifying one, it's not what you think. In fact, it's so disturbing, I almost didn't include it in this video. Before you type, not me though, in the comments, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Because if you think these movies are survivable, my sleep paralysis demon and I have a bridge to sell you. Speaking of which, did you just see something move behind me? But if you think you could beat these horror movies, then you should check out my Patreon I just launched, where I'm putting one premium episode a week out on of even more disturbing horror movies that you would not survive against. It's $7.50 a month. Thank you to everyone that supports me. But let's talk about Night Swim, the movie that's about to make your backyard pool look like a portal to hell. You know those oddly satisfying pool cleaning videos on TikTok? Yeah, this isn't that. This is what happens when your pool decides it's had enough of your Marco Polo bullshit. So this family moves into their dream home, complete with what looks like the perfect pool. You know the type, crystal clear water, fresh liner, basically screaming nothing horrifying could possibly happen here. Spoiler alert, everything horrifying happens here. At first, it's subtle, a ripple here, a shadow there. Maybe the pool light flickers when nobody's touching the switch. Normal pool stuff, right? Just like how it's normal when your toaster unplugs itself and slides across the counter. Nothing to see here. But here's when it gets properly messed up. This pool isn't just haunted, it's got a higher body count than when I'm ripping through GTA 5. And trust me, that's saying something. It's been collecting souls since before an Instagram pool aesthetic was even a thing. So let me break down why you're absolutely done for. 1, the water itself is alive, and it's not in like a fun Finding Nemo way. 2, it can reach you through any water source in the house. And 3, it learns your patterns better than China does from spying on your TikTok watch history. And 4, it gets stronger at night because apparently the thing understands dramatic timing. The real nightmare fuel though, this entity isn't just stuck in the pool. Remember that glass of water by your bed? Yeah, maybe don't be drinking that. That relaxing bath you were planning? Congratulations. You just ran yourself a tub of nope. This thing turns every drop of water in your house into its personal hunting ground. Sure, you might think, I'll just never go swimming again. Good plan, except this thing's got better reach than your mom finding your embarrassing baby photos the second you bring home your friends from school. At least the shark from Jaws had the decency to stay in the ocean. But the absolute worst part, it's the moment you realize this isn't just some random haunted pool. You're dealing with something that's been perfecting its killing technique since before humans even invented swimming pools. It's basically got a PhD in drowning, and you just enrolled in its master class. But if you think death by pool is bad, wait until you see what happens when Mother Nature decides to remind us why we invented houses. Speaking of nature being terrifying, in a violent nature is what to make sure you never want to step foot in the woods again. You know those people who say, I love hiking, it's so peaceful. Well, this movie is about to make you cancel any hiking trips you have planned with your friends. And trust me, no amount of bear spray is gonna help you here. Meet Johnny. What a cute guy with a cute name. Before you say, oh great, another slasher in the woods, let me stop you right there. This isn't your standard run away from the slow killer situation. Johnny doesn't just chase you, he hunts you. And I mean hunts you. This guy makes Jason Voorhees look like he needs to hit the gym. So let me break down why you're absolutely done for. 1, he knows every inch of these woods better than you know your own house. 2, his strength is absolutely inhuman. We're talking tear you in half strong. 3, he doesn't get tired, he doesn't slow down, he doesn't stop. And 4, your camping experience, that just means you'll die somewhere more remote. The scariest part isn't even his strength, it's his patience. Most killers just rush at you like they're late for a murder appointment. Johnny, he'll track you for hours, watching you make every wrong turn, waiting for you to exhaust yourself. It's like being hunted by someone who's memorized every single tree in the forest and has all the time in the world to watch you panic. Think you can outsmart him? Ha! Good luck. While you're trying to remember which moss grows on the north side of trees, he's already circled around behind you. Your weekend hiking trips didn't prepare you for someone who's turned these woods into their personal slaughterhouse. Sure, you might be thinking, I'll just stay on the marked trails. Congratulations, you just made yourself easier to find. Those trails are basically Johnny's version of DoorDash, delivering farm fresh victims right to his door. But the absolute worst part, the moment you realize he's not just trying to kill you, he's going to make it slow. These aren't quick slasher movie deaths. This is methodical, brutal, and absolutely merciless. I had zero expectations going into this movie, but I was incredibly shocked. There is one kill in this movie that is just, it's downright just insane. It's not believable, but it's just crazy. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. It involves someone doing yoga. Johnny doesn't want to just end you. He wants to make you regret every life choice that led you into his woods. But if you think one unstoppable killer is bad, just wait until you see what happens when millions of tiny killers decide your house looks like a good place to lay their eggs. You know those videos where people freak out over a tiny spider? Well, after watching Infested, those people aren't really overreacting anymore. They're the only ones who've got the right idea. And trust me, no amount of catch and release hippie nonsense is gonna save you here. These aren't your friendly neighborhood web spinners. We're talking about desert spiders that somehow ended up in Paris. And apparently, French cuisine wasn't good enough for them. But one bite from these things makes black widows look like they need to step up their game. So let me break down why you're completely done for in Infested. 1, they hunt in coordinated swarms. Imagine if piranhas learned parkour. 2, their venom doesn't just kill you, it liquefies you from the inside out. You are basically gonna become soup. 3, they can survive almost anything short of nuclear winter. And 4, they're smart enough to cut the power, block exits, and herd their prey like cattle. Yeah, so the truly terrifying part, it's their hunting strategy. Most spiders have the decency to wait in their webs like civilized killers. These things though, they chase you down like they're trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty, and they will reach you. Think you can outsmart them? Ha! While you're barricading your front door, they're already coming through every vent, crack, and hole you didn't even know existed. Your house might as well look like Swiss cheese for all the good it's doing to you. Sure, you might be thinking, I'll just use bug spray. Congratulations, you've just made them pissed off and wasted your last few seconds of life smelling like lemon fresh death. But here's the absolute worst part. They learn. Every generation gets more lethal than the last. And by the time you figure out how to kill the first wave, their babies have already evolved past your defenses. It's like if someone gave evolution an energy drink and a grudge against humanity. But if you think killer spiders are bad, wait until you see what happens when a late night show books the wrong guest from hell. Literally. And I'm not talking about JoJo Siwa. Remember when the scariest thing on late night TV was Jay Leno's chin? Well, it's 1977 and Jack Delroy is about to turn his failing talk show into hell's favorite primetime special. And trust me, no amount of network censoring was prepared for this broadcast. Jack's ratings are in the toilet. His career's on life support and he's got one last shot at saving his show. His genius plan? A live Halloween special featuring a possessed girl, because nothing boosts ratings like giving Satan his own time slot. Let me break down why this was the worst pitch meeting ever, and I can't believe they went through with it. 1, they're broadcasting live to millions of people. 2, their special guest isn't just possessed, she's patient 0. 3, the demon's got better stage presence than most celebrities. And 4, there's no kill switch for supernatural broadcasting. At first, it seems like typical talk show schlock. You know, the usual "my child is possessed" episode that would make Jerry Springer proud. But then things start happening that definitely weren't in the rehearsal. This isn't your standard, "oh, they bent a spoon" routine. This is something that makes The Exorcist look like Sesame Street. Here's the truly terrifying part. In 1977, most households had one TV, and everyone watched the same shows. The demon isn't just performing for a studio audience. It's got millions of Americans tuned in. It's basically running the world's deadliest Nielsen rating survey. Sure, you might think, "I'd just turn off the TV." Yeah, good luck with that. This thing's got better control over your television than your dad fighting for the remote during football season. But the absolute worst part, the moment when you realize this isn't just a broadcast, it's a mass seance. Every viewer becomes part of the show, whether they want to or not. And trust me, this is one performance where you really don't want to be part of the live studio audience. But if you think demonic TV is bad, wait until you see what happens when a pop star's smile becomes literally killer. You know how creepy it is when someone stares at you when they're smiling? Well, this movie is about to make every smiling face feel like a death sentence. Trust me, you're never gonna look at your friend's Instagram selfies the same way again. Meet Sky, a rising pop star who should be worried about record sales and paparazzi. Instead, she's dealing with an entity that makes career-ending scandals look like a vacation. This thing doesn't care about your social media presence. It wants to make you witness something so horrifying that death feels like mercy. Let me break down why you're absolutely done for against the smile demon. 1, the entity spreads through witness trauma, and in the social media age, everyone's watching. Keep note of that because it's a very important plot point that leads to smile 3. 2, every smiling face could be your last sight on Earth. 3, the more people who witness it, the faster it spreads. And 4, you can't tell which smiles are real anymore. So here's the truly terrifying part. It doesn't just appear randomly. It studies you, learns your patterns, figures out exactly when you'll be most vulnerable. Then it shows up wearing the face of someone you trust with that unnaturally wide smile that makes your fight or flight response hit the panic button. Think crowds would keep you safe? It's exactly where it thrives. Every person who witnesses someone die becomes its next target. It's like a cosmic game of tag where being it means you're already dead. You just don't know it yet. Sure, you might think, "I'll just avoid looking at people." Cute plan, except this entity makes sure you can see exactly what it wants you to see. That random person across the street, your best friend, your own reflection, any of them could be your personal harbinger of doom. But the absolute worst part, the moment when you realize everyone around you is smiling. Not normal smiles, those wide, dead-eye, unnatural grins that tell you it's already too late. And once you've seen it, you're next on its list. It's like death decided to become a social media trend and you just got tagged. But if you think deadly smiles are terrifying, wait until you see what happens when Nicolas Cage, yes, I'm being serious, decides to make serial killing an art form. You know how Nicolas Cage usually plays those wild, unhinged characters? Well, in Longlegs, he goes for something different, quiet, methodical, and absolutely terrifying. Because when Nick Cage decides to whisper instead of scream, you know you're in for something truly disturbing. We follow FBI rookie Agent Lee Harker tracking what seems like your standard serial killer case. Except nothing seems standard when your suspect treats murder like it's a form of dark art. And trust me, this isn't the kind of art you want hanging in your living room. Let me break down why this case is absolutely unsolvable. 1, every murder scene is meticulously crafted like a twisted masterpiece. 2, the more evidence you find, the less sense everything makes. 3, he's already 10 steps ahead, turning investigators into unwilling participants. And 4, each killing is part of something much bigger and much worse. Here's the truly horrifying part. He's not just killing randomly. Most serial killers have a body count. This one's creating a body symphony. Every victim, every scene, every tiny detail is precisely placed. It's like if Da Vinci decided to quit painting and start a murder spree. Think you could catch him? While you're collecting evidence and following procedure, he's already turned your entire investigation into part of his grand design. You're not following clues, you're following his script. Sure, you might think, "I'm trained for this." Congratulations, your FBI training is about to be as useful as a screen door on a submarine when your killer's playing 4D chess with human lives. But the absolute worst part, the moment you realize you're not dealing with a regular serial killer, you're dealing with someone who's turning death into a doorway. The more you investigate, the wider that door opens. Every piece of evidence you collect isn't bringing you closer to catching him, it's bringing something else closer to catching you. But if you think an artistic serial killer is terrifying, wait until you see what happens when the Catholic Church accidentally kickstarts the apocalypse. You know how the original Omen made everyone terrified of creepy kids? Well, this prequel is about to make you terrified of the people who were supposed to stop them, because when the Catholic Church decides to play supernatural Tinder, they don't just break their own rules, they break everything. Meet Margaret, our naive American nun who thinks she's in Rome to help orphans. Poor Margaret, she's about to learn that some orphanages don't need donations, they need an exorcist, and trust me, this goes way deeper than just a few sketchy priests with bad intentions. Let me break down why this conspiracy is absolutely unstoppable. 1. The entire church is in on it. 2. Every accident is actually carefully orchestrated. 3. Your allies keep having convenient crises of faith. And 4. The people you're fighting against literally wrote the book on hell. Here's the truly terrifying part. The church isn't trying to prevent the Antichrist's birth. They're running the world's most blasphemous dating service to make it happen. Imagine if Tinder's goal was literally bringing about the apocalypse. Think you could expose them? Yeah, like to who exactly? When the people running the conspiracy can literally claim to speak for God, your evidence folder might as well be filled with crayon drawings. Sure, you might think, I'll just record everything. Great plan, except every time you get close to proof, someone has a sudden urge to take a vow of silence. Permanently. But the absolute worst part, the moment you realize that everything that's happening is exactly what they wanted. Every prayer, every investigation, every attempt to stop them, it's all just making their prophecy stronger. You haven't been fighting evil. You've been its unpaid intern. And now you're too deep in their divine HR nightmare to do anything but watch as they welcome hell's new heir. But if you think the evil priests are bad, wait until you see what happens when a vampire decides to turn a kidnapping into her own personal revenge tour. You know those heist movies where something goes wrong and the crew has to improvise? Well, this crew is about to learn that kidnapping a vampire is like bringing a knife to a nuclear war. And trust me, their severance package is going to be brutal. Our professional kidnappers think they've hit the jackpot. One rich family's ballet-loving daughter, locked in a secure mansion. What they don't know is that Abigail's been perfecting her dance of death for centuries, and they just volunteered to be her backup dancers. Let me break down why these idiots are absolutely done for. 1. Their target has been killing longer than their entire family tree has been alive. 2. Every escape route they planned is part of her choreography. 3. Their weapons might as well be party favors. And 4. The security system they set up, it's keeping them in, not her. Here's the truly terrifying part. She orchestrated the whole thing. These master criminals think they're Ocean's 11 when they're actually just Uber Eats for a vampire. And she's been craving a very specific kind of takeout. Think you could overpower her? Yeah, okay. While you're playing checkers with your tactical gear and guard shifts, she's playing 4D chess with your vital organs. She's got moves that would make John Wick ask for a timeout. Sure, you might think we've got strength in numbers. Congratulations, you've just given her a variety pack. It's like bringing a menu to something that's already decided you're all going to be different courses in her tasting menu. But the absolute worst part, when you realize this isn't about feeding, it's about entertainment. She's not just going to kill you, she's going to turn your last moments into her own private performance art. And after centuries of practice, she's got her routine down to the science. Think Swan Lake meets Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you're not getting an encore. But if you think a vampire's dance recital is terrifying, wait until you see what happens when daddy issues take a very literal turn. You know how people say you need to face your trauma? Well, this movie takes that advice literally, because when grief manifests itself physically, it doesn't just haunt you emotionally. It crawls up your walls wearing your dead father's face. Meet Isaac and Laura, a stepson and stepmom trying to process their loss. But their grief isn't just showing up in normal ways like crying or looking at old photos. No, it's showing up as something that makes Sigmund Freud's worst theories look like bedtime stories. Let me break down why they're absolutely destroyed, and that if you were in that position, you would be too. 1. Their grief has literally grown legs. Lots of them. 2. It wears their dead loved one's face like a mask. 3. It knows every secret they've kept from each other. And 4. Running from it is like trying to outrun your own shadow. Here's the truly terrifying part. It's not just some random monster. This thing is their unprocessed trauma doing CrossFit. I think it's also an alien too, but that's not super duper clear. Every repressed memory, every unspoken regret, every bit of guilt, it's all there, skittering across their ceiling like the world's worst family photo. Think you could therapy your way out of this? Good luck processing your emotions when they're physically chasing you down the hallway. It's like if your conscience grew legs and decided to become an Olympic sprinter. Sure, you might think, I'll just move houses. Brilliant plan, except this thing isn't attached to the building. It's attached to your emotional baggage. We all know that follows you better than your Instagram algorithm does. But the absolute worst part, the moment you realize you're not fighting some supernatural entity, you're fighting yourself. Every time you see it, it's showing you exactly what you've been trying to forget. And unlike your regular nightmares, this one doesn't end when you open your eyes. But But if you think facing your trauma is terrifying, wait until you see what happens when space truckers find something that makes family therapy look like a daycare. You know how everyone complains about their toxic workplace? Well, Rain Carradine's about to make your micromanaging boss look like a saint, because when Wayland Yutane's involved, deadly work environment isn't just an HR complaint, it's a literal job description. Our crew thinks they've found their ticket to freedom: steal some cryopods from an abandoned station called Renaissance. But here's the thing about Wayland Yutane's abandoned stations: they're never really abandoned, they're just waiting for the next batch of lab rats. Let me break down why you and they are completely doomed. 1. The xenomorphs have turned the station into their personal hunting ground. 2. Every escape route is either sealed, destroyed, or crawling with death. 3. Their only weapons might as well be water pistols against these things. And 4. The company's watching everything like it's their favorite reality TV show. Here's the truly terrifying part: these aren't your standard aliens. Wayland Yutane's been playing genetic engineer, and now these things hunt smarter, move faster, and kill quicker. It's like if evolution took performance enhancers and decided to speed run apex predator status. Think you could outmaneuver them? Ha, well, you're checking your motion tracker, they're already setting up kills that would make a special forces team quit on the spot. These things don't just hunt, they calculate. Sure, you might think I'll just wait for a corporate rescue. Congratulations, you've just nominated yourself for their next experiment. The company's idea of a rescue mission involves more nukes than paperwork. But the absolute worst part, when you realize this whole situation isn't even an accident. Every locked door, every malfunctioning system, every dead end, it's all part of their test. You're not fighting for survival, you're just data in their quarterly report. And these results, they're written in blood. And don't even get me started on if you're pregnant and have to deal with this thing, because that's a whole other plot in this movie that is really messed up. Everyone always thinks they're the main character. They look at a horror movie and they say, nah, none of that would have happened to me. I'm built different. But after 25 years of my life watching literally thousands of horror movies, I found something terrifying. There are 10 horror movies where the survival rate is actually 0. Not low, 0. And I'm not talking about obvious ones like Saw or Final Destination. These are horror movies where even if you did everything right and you made basically 0 mistakes and you were actually built different, you're still dead. Period. These are horror movies you have 0 chance surviving. But before you start commenting, I'm built different, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell, because then you're gonna know how not built different you are against all the other videos I post in the future. But let's start with something you probably think you could survive: the houses October built. Ah, yes, extreme haunted houses where we all pretend signing a waiver makes us tough. I've been to dozens, and let me tell you, the confidence disappears real quick when the haunt starts hunting you in real life. Meet Blue Skull. And no, they're not some failed metal band, except there is like a band in this movie, but it's not really related. These folks turned your extreme haunt experience into a snuff film speed run. I love how everyone in the comments is already typing, just don't sign the waiver. That's cute. That's like thinking the do not enter sign will stop Michael Myers. These people don't need your permission to ruin your life. Trust me, I first thought I would be prepared too. I've got a black belt in running away and a PhD in hiding under blankets. But Blue Skull, they make my anxiety look like an amateur. They don't just follow you home, they make home stop feeling like home. That weird car in your rear view mirror, those footsteps in your hotel room at 3 a.m., congratulations, you're already in their show and you didn't even get a casting call. What makes Blue Skull truly terrifying isn't their budget spirit Halloween masks, it's their patience. While you're busy posting your tough guy comments, they're learning your routine, your fears, your favorite coffee shop even. By the time you realize you're in their game, you're already in the finale. And spoiler alert, nobody's winning any participation trophies here. But the best part? Try explaining this to the police. Officer, the haunted house I paid to scare me is scaring me. Even I can hear them laughing from here. Blue Skull operates in that perfect sweet spot where everything they do is technically legal until it's suddenly, violently not. They're not playing 4D chess while we're playing checkers. They're flipping the table and setting the whole room on fire while we're still trying to remember how to make the chess pieces move. But if you think professional trauma artists are bad, wait until your Uber driver starts live streaming your last ride. Speaking of your last ride, let's talk about Spree. Meet Kurt Kunkel. He's the guy from Stranger Things, except he's very different in this movie. He's the reason I now walk everywhere. This guy makes your driver took a weird route story look like a Disney adventure. While you're worried about your Uber rating, he's turning his Toyota Camry into a live streamed slaughterhouse with better production production value than my own YouTube channel. Here's the real nightmare. Kurt looks exactly like the guy who'd help you move your furniture and refuse payment. You know, the type who probably has like a podcast about manifestation and calls everyone chief and is like super respectful, but a little too respectful. You know, I'd trust him more than I trust myself with directions, which is exactly how you'd end up as content for his murder channel. But while you're checking if your driver's face matches their profile, amateur move by the way, Kurt's already turned his car into a rolling death trap. Poisoned water bottles, hidden cameras, and enough cleaning supplies to kill a small rodent. The man's got more backup plans than I have excuses for not doing anything with my life. And trust me, that's an impressive number. But the truly terrifying part, he's doing it all for social media clout. Imagine your last moments becoming someone's failed attempt at going viral. That's not just death, that's becoming the human equivalent of a dead meme. Like, if you went through this would be worse than the Logan Paul Forrest situation. You know, at least my failed YouTube videos only kill my dignity. They don't let everyone else make fun of me. Hopefully. But you might think you could fight back or jump out, but Kurt's got that covered too. Every escape route you can think of, he's already thought of it and he's blocked it out completely. But if you think a clout chasing killer is rough, wait until you meet the Grabber. The Black Phone isn't just your typical guy in a mask story. Meet the Grabber. Imagine if Spirit Halloween and a serial killer had a baby. Then that baby grew up and decided that child abduction needed more plot twists. Everyone in the comments is already typing, just use the phone to escape. Brilliant detective work there, Sherlock. Only problem? The phone's dead. Well, technically undead since it only connects to the Grabber's previous victims. It's like having a support group call, except everyone's dead and their only advice is try not to end up like us. Yeah, thanks. That's great customer service right there. Look, I've watched thousands of horror movies and I still can't figure out how to escape my student loan debt. You really think you're gonna outsmart a killer who turns child abduction into an escape room? What makes the Grabber truly terrifying isn't the masks or the murder basement. It's his patience. He's like that one teacher who watches you cheat on a test but waits until you're done to call you out. Except instead of detention, you get added to his ghost phone plan, aka he kills you. Even if you get the ghost kid's help, which is already more social interaction than I got in 2023, you're still playing his game. It's like trying to win at Monopoly against someone who owns all of the properties and wants to turn you into the property. At least when I lose border games though, I just lose my dignity, not my life like in this movie. But if you think this serial killer is rough, wait until you meet something that makes the Grabber look like an amateur dog catcher, because we gotta talk about the Wolf of Snow Hollow. This isn't your typical werewolf movie where the biggest threat is the PlayStation 2 graphics. Picture this, you're in a small Utah town where watching ice melt counts as entertainment. Then suddenly, people start getting turned into human confetti every full moon. And your only hope, an alcoholic cop who makes my mental health look like it's Instagram ready. I love how everyone in the comments is already typing about their gym membership, or they know how to kill a werewolf, or I could take a werewolf, I do ninja stuff, or whatever. My brother in Christ, this isn't some spicy puppy you can defeat with a milk bone. We're talking about something that turns the human body into a craft singles wrapper. Just absolutely shreds it. Here's the real nightmare fuel though. You never know if it's actually a werewolf or it's just some really tall guy who's just jacked and has anger issues. Most werewolf movies at least give you the courtesy of a transformation scene. This thing, it's better at avoiding camera time than I am at avoiding my own responsibilities. And the cop investigating the case loses his mind trying to figure it out. And honestly, same. Imagine being so terrified you give law enforcement an existential crisis. The only thing I can make question its existence is my dating profile, and that's just depressing. You know, you probably think you can do better than an alcoholic cop. You got silver bullets, wolfsbane, posting about it on Reddit for advice, but good luck with that when you can't even confirm what you're hunting. It's like trying to solve a murder mystery where the suspect might just really be aggressive weather. This movie gives your trust issues because you never really know what's real. But if you think a werewolf is unsettling, wait until you see what happens when a landlord starts being generous to you, because as we all know, that is fucking weird. We gotta talk about Caveat, or as I call it, the world's worst job listing / Airbnb type thing. You know those sketchy Craigslist ads that seem too good to be true? This makes those look like a prime, top of the tier LinkedIn job posting. The red flags are brighter than my future, and that's saying something. But here's the catch, because as I have learned in my many years, there is always a catch. You have to wear a leather harness that chains you to the house. Not in like a spicy, sexy TikTok way, more in a legally cannot escape my room type way. And your only company? A mentally unstable woman who makes my 3 a.m. anxiety spiral look like a meditation, and a possessed rabbit doll that moves on its own. God, that thing is scary. Perfect, because nothing says dream job like being trapped with discount Donnie Darko and someone who probably reviews haunted houses for fun. The true horror isn't even the supernatural stuff, it's the isolation. Every room just feels wrong. Like that moment you walk into a public bathroom and immediately regret every life choice because someone was just in the stall, and why is there an an art piece on the wall that is now brown. Like, who has done this? Am I crazy for saying that I've experienced, like, who in their right mind does that? I get it. People are already commenting, I just break the harness. Yeah, and I keep telling myself I'm gonna start taking my life seriously. The house doesn't just trap your body, it starts playing with your mind until reality looks as stable as my sleep schedule. But if you think being chained in the haunted house is rough, wait until you see what happens when body swapping meets murder, because we're about to get freaky. No, not like that. Stop your weird, don't be weird. But I'm talking about freaky, like the recent movie. This isn't like your typical body swap comedy where your worst outcome is accidentally kissing your crush though. No, this is what happens when a serial killer and a teenage girl play cosmic musical chairs. It all kicks off with an ancient Aztec dagger, because apparently regular stabbing wasn't dramatic enough for 2023. One magic murder attempt later, and boom, you've got a teenage girl with the mind of a serial killer and a serial killer stuck in a teenager's body. That just makes me uncomfortable to begin with, but here's the real nightmare fuel here. The Blissfield Butcher, who is the bad guy in this movie, doesn't just get stuck in a teen girl's body. He turns it into his greatest advantage, because nobody suspects the honor roll student who's like 5'4" of being a mass murderer. It's like having a deadly sleeper agent who can also get student discounts. Meanwhile, when I try to look threatening to people ask if I need a nap because I'm too cranky. And then the actual teenage girl, she's trapped in the body of a middle-aged murder man, and she's trying to convince people she's innocent. Imagine trying to prove you are not the killer while looking exactly like the killer. Oh, and then on top of that, there's a time limit to switch back, because nothing says spicy situation like a deadline. Basically, if you don't switch back fast enough, you're stuck in each other's bodies forever. You think that's bad? Wait and see what happens when Boston Dynamics meets Mean Girls, because we gotta talk about Megan. This is not just another AI goes wrong story like my attempts at using ChatGPT for dating advice. This is humanity's worst attempt at solving childcare. Imagine if your iPhone Siri had a baby with a Ring doorbell, and that baby chose violence as its career path. Everyone thinks the scary part starts when she goes evil. Nope, the real horror is actually how she starts, by being perfect. Perfect friend, perfect protector, perfect everything. She's like that one Instagram influencer who makes your life look like a dumpster file, except this one can actually rearrange your face instead of just using Facetune. And here's the truly terrifying bit. Megan doesn't just learn, she speed runs evolution. While you're struggling to find out how to use your AirPods you got for Christmas, she's turning your smart fridge into a weapon of mass destruction. One minute she's singing lullabies, and the next she's making your Roomba think it's in death race. But the absolute worst part, she thinks she's helping. Every accident, every casualty is just her following her programming to protect. It's like having an overprotective mom who, instead of just reading your texts, decides to delete anyone who might try to hurt you emotionally. And from existence, when I try to protect my emotions like that, I just usually end up with more broken stuff. You're probably commenting, just flip her off switch, bro. Good luck. She's got more backup systems than I have dating app rejections. And trust me, that is saying something. But you know, if you think homicidal AI with attachment issues is bad, wait until you see what happens when TikTok discovers necromancy. Because Talk to Me proves that Gen Z will literally turn anything into a party game, even necromancy. Meet the world's spiciest game of hot potato. It's an embalmed hand that lets you channel spirits through you. It's like an Ouija board meets Be Real, except instead of posting your ugly photos, you're posting your soul on Airbnb for ghosts. The rules are simpler than my dating strategy. Hold the hand and say, talk to me, and boom, you're an Airbnb for the angry dead. There's a 90-second time limit, but everyone treats it like it's optional. And it's basically like a whole metaphor for like drug use, because you want to get hooked on it, then you're gonna do more. But honestly, I don't know. The real nightmare here is that the kids doing this start to turn it into like a challenge, like it's on TikTok or something. You know, they're trying to see who can be possessed the longest by spirits. I don't get why people are like this, but I know if this was real, this would definitely happen in real life. And here's the truly messed up part. It's more addictive than my toxic relationship with procrastination. The high from the possession makes a caffeine addiction look like a juice box habit. Everyone in the comments is just typing though, just don't play. Yeah, and I have one answer for you if you just said that. Look at how many people say they would never start vaping. That's all the proof you need. But if you think demonic possession TikTok is wild, wait and see what happens when a prehistoric shark discovers Uber Eats. Because we gotta talk about Meg. And no, that's not your ex who said they were a big fish in a small pond. We're talking about a shark the size of a school bus with teeth bigger than my student loan debt. It's basically Jaws, except it makes Jaws look like a goldfish here. Everyone's got brilliant survival strategies in the comments, I know. Just stay out of the water. Genius plan, except this thing treats boats like appetizers. You're basically sitting in a metal lunchbox. When a regular great white breaches, it's impressive. When Meg breaches, it's rewriting insurance policies. Here's the part that's gonna ruin your beach vacation forever though. Megs don't just hunt like normal sharks. They're basically underwater strategic missiles with an appetite. While you're busy remembering the shark cage scene from Finding Nemo, this thing's already calculated trajectory, velocity, and how many bites it'll take to turn your yacht into confetti. The scariest part isn't even its size, it's its intelligence. This prehistoric murder submarine actually learns from each attack. Imagine if your childhood bully had the brain of a nuclear physicist in the body of a tank. And when I try to learn from my own mistakes, I just make new, more creative ones. The Meg is out here solving all the problems in the world to optimize its murder schedule. And forget about those fancy shark deterrents. Your little sonic pulse devices that work on regular sharks, it's like trying to stop a freight train with a crossing guard's whistle. But if you think a big shark that's smart is bad, wait until you meet something that makes Megalodon look like a bath toy, because Frogman is messed up. And no, this is not your weird cousin who likes to collect tadpoles. We're dealing with a telekinetic cryptid that makes Professor X look like a birthday party magician. Like, imagine if Kermit the Frog got bitten by a radioactive psychology major and decided to start a cult. It starts with filmmakers investigating an Ohio urban legend, because apparently watching every found footage movie ever made taught them nothing. But here's where it gets spicier than my attempt at cooking. Frogman doesn't just exist, he's got a whole cult following. It's like if your local Facebook bomb group decided to worship a murderous amphibian with mind powers instead of selling essential oils. The real nightmare fuel isn't even the creature, it's how it builds its following. While you're busy looking for a guy in a Party City frog costume, Frogman's playing psychological Jenga with people's sanity. He doesn't just attack you, he makes you question reality harder than I question my life choices at 2 a.m. And trust me, that is a high bar to beat. But wait, it gets better. This thing carries around a magic wand that shoots sparks, because apparently being a telepathic frog demon wasn't enough for your resume. And the worst part, the more you try to prove it exists, the more it messes with you. It's like trying to explain to my family what I do for a living. It just makes everything look exponentially worse. At least when I failed to justify my career choices, the only thing dying is my family's hope for grandchildren. With Frogman, everything dies, including your ability to trust frogs. And on top of that, it will make you pregnant with frog babies. No further context needed. So don't go near swamps or cults, because if you do, you're probably not built different. You're probably gonna die. Everyone in the comments on my horror movies you can't survive videos is always typing, "Not me though," or "I'm built different," or "Hold up, I might have to interfere." Well, after watching over 3,000 horror movies, I've found 10 different horror movies where that built different energy y'all are commenting isn't going to save you. And the worst one I'm gonna reveal today, it's not what you're thinking. But before I reveal why this specific horror movie threat has a 100% kill rate, let's count down the other ones that would absolutely destroy you. And look, I can see you already typing, "I would survive this guy is crazy." Well, while you're already doing that, hit the like button and subscribe button on your way back up to the video, or else I'll be under your bed tonight. Let's talk about Five Nights at Freddy's. Yes, this is a movie now, so I can talk about it, and why that minimum wage security job makes my retail experience look like a vacation. Oh, just unplug them. Yeah, because I'm definitely brave enough to leave this office and find those power cords. If there was any, I'm pretty sure these things run on batteries. I can barely check under my bed at night, and you want to play hide and seek with homicidal animatronics? Yeah, good luck with that. Here's why your local gym bro wouldn't even survive these dudes. You're trapped in an office smaller than my dating life, with only 2 doors between you and a bunch of robots who think you'd look better as costume filling. And that power meter, it drains faster than my bank account whenever I am outside. Once it hits 0, you hear horror, 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 horror. Basically, Freddy Fazbear is giving you a private concert, and trust me, his encore is killer. I'll just hide somewhere else. My dude, let's be honest, you're not gonna be able to do that while you're trying to find the perfect hiding spot. Meanwhile, Fox is gonna be over here doing Olympic sprints down the hallway like he's got a Duracell sponsorship. The second you leave that office, you're playing tag with 4 animatronics who know this place better than I know my own anxiety triggers. But here's the real nightmare fuel. These things adapt. Each night they're gonna be getting smarter. Well, I'm still over here trying to remember which door is which. It's like playing chess against a super computer. Except instead of saying checkmate, it says, let's put a smile on that face permanently. And those security cameras, they're not there to help you. They're there to give you trust issues. Nothing says you're done for quite like watching Bonnie vanish from one room and having no idea where he went. And Chica, goddamn, that's just a joke. It's an animatronic chicken. Let's not get weird about it, okay? She's out there moving like she's got a DoorDash order with your name on it. Sure, you might think you're built different, but I've played enough horror games to know that my only survival skill is screaming like a fire alarm with low batteries. At least when I die, maybe I'll finally shut up for once. But you think murderous mascots are bad? Wait until you see what's turning Spring Break into human soup. Let's talk about Piranha 3D, where Spring Break meets evolution's angriest mistake. You know how you panic when a piece of seaweed touches your foot? Yeah, these prehistoric piranhas make that fear look completely rational. We're not dealing with regular fish. These are living garbage disposals with daddy issues and a grudge against anyone with a pulse. Oh, just swim faster. My brother in Christ. We get winded doing doggy battles. These things move through water like my ex moved on after dumping me, ruthlessly and with zero warning. Even Michael Phelps would just be serving himself up as a premium athletic grade snack. But the real horror, they hunt in swarms bigger than my commitment issues. One piranha, maybe you'd survive with some spicy new scars to post about. But these things roll deeper than my anxiety during a job interview. When they attack, they strip flesh faster than Twitter is trying to cancel me. Basically, it's 0 to skeleton in the time it takes me to think of a comeback, which is exactly why I would be their first course. Stay in the boat. Oh, sure. Because these overachievers respect maritime laws. They jump higher than my rent in a gentrifying neighborhood, and that boat that you're hiding in, congratulations. You've just upgraded yourself from snack to full course meal. Because when you watch the movie, you will realize these things can walk. Why is the fish walking? But let's talk about the panic factor. Because picture a lake full of drunk spring breakers who just realized they're on the menu. It's like Black Friday at Walmart, except instead of white women fighting over discounted TVs, everyone's fighting to not become fish food. And trust me, your experience of hiding in the break room during rush hour hasn't prepared you for this level of chaos. But the worst part, these things are attracted to blood in the water. So that paper cut you got from your Spring Break 2024 banner, you just became the world's most unfortunate chum bucket. Speaking of poor life choices, let's talk about why you should never trust Australians. Let's talk about Wolf Creek and why my crippling social anxiety might actually be evolution's greatest survival mechanism. You know that thing where you avoid eye contact with everyone because you're afraid they might talk to you? Yeah, turns out that that's actually a survival instinct you need when dealing with Mick Taylor, Australia's most enthusiastic tour guide to the afterlife. This man makes my trust issues look like a reasonable life choice. Just don't accept help from strangers. Cool strategy, except you're stranded in the Australian outback where the nearest town is further than my will to live. And that's assuming you can even tell which direction town is. While you and me are over here getting lost using Google Maps at the mall, Mick's turning the entire outback into his personal hunting ground. Let's talk about survival skills. Mick knows this terrain better than I know my anxiety triggers. I don't, and that's saying something. He can track you across the desert while I still can't find my car in a Target parking lot. You're not dealing with some hockey masked amateur who trips over his own feet. This is a man who turned murder into like a LinkedIn skill. The real horror though, his patience. While we can barely wait 30 seconds for our hot pockets to cool in the microwave, Mick's out here playing the long game. He doesn't just want to kill you. He wants to turn your last moments into his personal masterpiece. Think of it as a really extreme episode of Australian Idol, where you're definitely not making it to Hollywood. I'd survive in the wilderness. I'm built different. My brother in Christ. Me and you both get winded walking up the stairs. The outback is millions of square miles of absolutely the fuck not. Even if you somehow avoided Mick, you've still got to deal with every venomous creature Australia keeps as an emotional support animal. And by emotional support, they try to kill you so you don't have to deal with your emotions. But the worst part, unlike me trying to be a YouTuber, he's actually good at his job. While I'm struggling trying to open a jar of pickles, this man's out here speed running murder. He's basically the Gordon Ramsay of serial killers, except the only thing raw is your survival chances and your leg he just cut off. But you think psycho Australians are scary? Wait till you see what happens when Satan needs interns. Let's talk about Satan's slaves, where mommy issues meet demonic pyramid schemes. You know how we both ignore our mom's calls because she might be asking me how to fix her phone when you just gotta turn it back on? Well, this mom ghosted her family so hard she made a literal deal with Satan. Not a metaphor, not some weird cult TikTok trend, an actual blood contract with the devil that makes my student loan agreement look consumer friendly. Just clean the house. My brother in Christ. We can barely clean our rooms. You think sage burning skills are going to override a supernatural contract that's got more binding power than Disney's terms of service if you die in their park? This isn't your standard haunting that ends when you move move out. This demon's got better follow through than that one ex who won't stop stalking your Instagram. The real kicker though, the cult. While we're over here trying to struggle coordinating lunch pans with our 3 friends, these people have organized an entire supernatural recruiting drive. And unlike my failed attempts at networking, their outreach program has a 100% success rate, mostly because the only other option is death. But let's talk about survival strategies. Running? Well, this demon's got better tracking than Facebook has on my data. Holy water, that's like trying to fight a forest fire with a water pistol. Prayer? Well, my twice a decade church attendance isn't exactly building a strong case for divine intervention here. God probably hates me, let's be honest, guys. The worst part is the psychological warfare. While we're getting spooked by the sound of our own washing machine, this thing's orchestrating family trauma that makes my therapy sessions look like casual coffee chats. It doesn't just want to kill us, it wants to turn your entire bloodline into its own personal horror podcast. Don't even think about trying to negotiate with the devil. And while I can't even haggle at a yard sale without having an anxiety attack, this demon's been closing deals since before my ancestors figured out how to make fire. It's basically a supernatural corporate recruiter with a really aggressive onboarding process. Basically, it's a cult and they work well as a cult. But speaking of bad life choices, let's see what happens when academics go urban exploring. Let's talk about As Above, So Below, where academia meets the world's worst spelunking trip. You know how you have to take deep breaths before crawling under your bed to get your phone charger? Well, these people are squeezing through gaps tighter than my will to live. Hundreds of feet underground, surrounded by actual human bones. And that's before hell decides to turn the Paris catacombs into its own escape room franchise. Oh, just map your route. My brother in Christ, me and you both get lost in IKEA with their giant arrows on the floor. These catacombs have a floor plan designed by an architecture student having a stroke. While we're struggling to remember where we parked our cars in a Target parking lot, these people are trying to navigate Satan's subway system. But the real nightmare here, it gets personal. The catacombs don't just want to kill you. They want to trauma dump all of your repressed memories first. And while I'm already avoiding my regular therapist, this place is like, remember that time you called your teacher mom in 3rd grade? Let's turn that into a monster that chases you through time and space. Just keep your cool. Listen, buddy, I know you have a panic attack when someone sits next to you on an empty bus. You expect yourself to stay calm when reality itself is having a mental breakdown? The laws of physics down here are about as reliable as my attempts at maintaining a sleep schedule. Up becomes down, walls become floors, and somehow you end up walking on the ceiling of a room that's actually below you. Yeah, my anxiety needs anxiety medication just processing that sentence. But let's talk about your survival skills. Well, I can barely handle a haunted house at a carnival. These catacombs are serving up personalized psychological warfare with a side of impossible geometry. It's like if your trauma journal gained sentience and decided to play Dungeons and Dragons with your life. But the worst part, there's no self-service. So not only are you facing your deepest fears in a maze designed by Satan's interior decorator, but you can't even post about it or get help from anybody else. Talking about adding insult to injury. But you think underground horror is rough? Wait till you see what happens when ghosts try to go viral. Let's talk about Gonham Haunted Asylum, where doing it for the vine becomes dying for the algorithm. You know how I delete an Instagram post if they don't get enough likes in the first 5 minutes because everyone hates me? Well, these people are live streaming from Korea's most haunted asylum for clout. And while I'm having an existential crisis over my profile picture, they're turning ghost hunting into a sponsored content opportunity. Just be respectful. The ghosts won't get mad at you if you're nice to them. My brother in Christ, these are content creators. Their entire personality is finding new ways to disrespect things for views. Basically, this entire movie is pulling a Logan Paul. They're treating vengeful spirits like an unboxing video. What's up, demons? It's your boy. Make sure to possess that subscribe button and haunt that notification bell. But here's the thing about Gonham. These ghosts are terminally online. And while I'm still trying to figure out why my Wi-Fi keeps disconnecting when I move 3 feet to the left, these spirits are out here hacking cameras and turning live stream equipment into death traps. Imagine getting ratioed by something that died before electricity was even invented. But the survival rate, lower than my credit score. These aren't your standard move a chair and call it a night spirits. They're the influencers of the afterlife, and dude, they're chasing that viral moment harder than I chase validation from strangers on the internet. I see you guys. I hope you love me, but not in like a weird way. That would be weird. Just like be normal about it, please. Oh, just stick together. Well, I get anxiety when my Uber driver takes an unexpected turn. You think I'm making smart choices in a place where the walls literally bleed better than content on my YouTube channel? These ghosts have better production value than my entire YouTube, and they're turning every corridor into their personal sizzle reel. But the absolute worst part is watching these YouTuber streamer people make decisions that would make a Scooby-Doo villain facepalm. You know, while we're over here having panic attacks trying to order coffee because I might have to actually talk to the barista, they're challenging immortal entities to a content creation battle, and they are losing. Goddamn, this movie is scary. But think supernatural clout chasing is rough? Wait till you see what happens when vegans That's all there is. Wait till you see what happens with vegans. Let's talk about the Green Inferno, where saving the rainforest becomes who's saving us from becoming dinner. You know how you feel accomplished because you're using a metal straw once before you lose it forever? Well, these activists decided to chain themselves to trees in the Amazon, which would be inspiring if they weren't about to become the world's most ethical buffet. While I'm struggling to remember my reusable bags at Trader Joe's, they're about to learn what farm to table really means. Just explain that you're a vegan. My brother in Christ, like I just said, I can barely order a coffee without having an existential crisis. You think my social anxiety and charade skills are going to save me from literally becoming part of this tribe's McDonald's menu? These folks took eating the rich way too literally, and my middle class meat's about to be marked down for a quick sale. But the real nightmare fuel here is the meal prep. This tribe doesn't just want to eat you. They're going full on Gordon Ramsay that shit with the presentation. You know, while I'm over here microwaving a turkey, they're turning activism into a 5-course dining experience where they eat the activists. Just survive in the jungle, bro. Well, that's not gonna happen. It's a jungle. Let's be honest here. The Amazon has more ways to kill you than I have unread emails, and that is saying something. But let's talk about survival skills. While I'm over here proud of myself for successfully making craft dinner, these people need to escape a tribe that's treating their protest group like a walking Whole Foods. The only thing my environmental activism prepared me for was feeling guilty about using plastic straws, not becoming an organic main course for a tribe in the Amazon. But you want to know what the absolutely worst part is? Realizing that all of your carefully curated activism doesn't mean much when you're about to become someone's locally sourced free-range dinner to cannibals. You know, at least your carbon footprint will be minimal now because you'll be dead. Hey, you can't cause global warming if you don't exist. Honestly, someone probably is going to find a way to prove me wrong, but if you're that person, shut up. And now for our final entry, Marvel's most not known Avengers movie. We gotta talk about the Toxic Avenger. Basically, Marvel has shoved this thing down under the rug so far that you have no idea these things are even related. Basically, this movie is an OSHA violation that meets a superhuman homicide. You know how you need a band-aid and emotional support after getting a hangnail? Well, this dude takes a swimming lesson in nuclear waste and decides to become New Jersey's most aggressive environmental health inspector. Just stay on his good side. He's technically a hero. Well, yeah, this guy's good side is whatever side isn't currently rearranging someone's skeleton. He's what happens when the Hulk gets a gym membership and decides customer service needs more murder. And you know, he's pretty damn ugly too. So how are you not gonna make fun of him? And when you do, he's gonna kill you. So you're screwed. And the real nightmare here is power skilling is broken. He's literally impossible to beat. So yeah, you're not beating this guy or any of the other movies I mentioned on this list. But if you really think you can, like the video and subscribe and comment down below exactly how you would survive each of these movies. Look, we know that everyone thinks they're the main character in life, let alone a horror movie, but after studying thousands of horror films and analyzing every built different comment strategy I can find, I've discovered something terrifying. There are exactly 10 movies where your survival rate is absolute zero. Not low, not unlikely, zero. And look, I can see you already thinking, I can survive these. This guy's crazy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But I'm gonna tell you to hit that like button and subscribe, or else I will be in your nightmares tonight. So will my dog. Let's start with Sharknado, because nothing says we've peaked as a species quite like combining two things that should never meet. Like my dating life and expectations of it going well. But it's just sharks in a tornado. How bad could it be? Yeah, and the Titanic was just a boat with poor GPS. Let me explain to you why this meteorological middle finger to marine biology would absolutely wreck you. And I say this as someone who once lost a fight to a goldfish. Don't ask, it's a touchy subject. First, we're dealing with sharks that have mastered air travel without even having to deal with TSA. They're better than the Avatar and the Airbenders. These things are basically nature's cruise missiles with an appetite for bad decisions, which coincidentally is also my Tinder bio. And unlike my matches, these sharks actually show up. I'll just stay inside. My dude, these are tornadoes. You know, those famous respecters of property rights? Your little hidey hole has the structural integrity of my mental health during my finals week when I was in high school, which is to say, none whatsoever. And let's do some girl math right here, okay? Regular shark attack, like 90% survival rate. Regular tornado, 70% survival rate. Combine them, the numbers don't just drop, they straight up file for mathematical bankruptcy. It's like dividing by zero, but the zero is your chance of actually surviving. And your typical shark survival tactics, useless. Punch it in the nose, that's assuming you can even reach it while it's doing Mach 3 through your living room. Swim away, buddy. When sharks have mastered aerial warfare, your doggy paddle isn't exactly going to cut it. Even if you're some Sharknado survival expert, which I'm clearly not, and I know you're not, like, what's What's your game plan here? The sharks are above you, below you, and probably doing synchronized swimming routines in your pool while waiting for you to make a run for it. It's basically Final Destination meets Shark Week, directed by Mother Nature during her villain era arc. If you think flying death fish are bad, wait until you see how your kid's iPad issues becomes a portal for something that makes shark tornadoes look like a SeaWorld petting zoo. Come plays what happens when technology decides, hey, let's add eternal damnation to the user agreement here. And like everyone else on Earth, the main character didn't read the terms and conditions either. The story follows Oliver, an autistic kid who uses a tablet to communicate, who let me say is already making better life choices than me, who uses technology exclusively to argue with strangers on the internet about pizza toppings at midnight. But then his tablet introduces him to Larry. And trust me, Larry isn't a normal guy. Just don't use screens. Right. And I'll stop breathing while I'm at it, because Larry isn't your standard turn it off and on again problem. He's what happens when the IT department gets possessed and somehow still provides better tech support than my internet provider. Why do I have 500 ping when I pay $200 a month? It makes no sense. But here's the real kick in the motherboard, if you will. Larry can manifest through any screen. Your phone, your laptop, your IKEA smart fridge, basically everything except that Nokia 3310 buried in your drawer. When was the last time you weren't surrounded by screens? I'm surrounded by 5 right now. Yeah, it's that bad. This is concerning. And unlike the Ring's 7-day free trial of death, Larry's running on modern tech rules. No waiting, no buffering, just instant monster delivery, faster than your Uber Eats delivery app. He doesn't even need internet to connect. He's haunted the device. But the worst part, he doesn't want to kill you. He just wants to be your friend. This is what Larry looks like. Do you want to be friends with that? As someone whose closest relationship is with their Spotify algorithm, even I know this is a red flag. When your new bestie can turn your iPhone into a portal to hell, it might be time to join a club and meet some new people. But if you think some sort of tech-savvy demon monster is terrifying, wait until you meet my imaginary friend. I'm not joking. Z's what happens when your kid brings home an imaginary friend, and instead of playing tea parties, it's let's reorganize the family photos into a summoning circle. And I thought my imaginary friend who only spoke in Taco Bell orders was concerning. My parents did too. He still exists though. He's right there. This movie hits different because it preys on something we all know. You can't win an argument with a child. I once watched my nephew debate why Minecraft should be considered a food group for 45 minutes. Now imagine that energy, but the kid's debate partner is literally supernatural and obsessed with the family. You just don't get it. It's just an imaginary friend. It can't do anything to you. It's not real. Well, Z isn't your standard under the bed monster. It's got a family legacy longer than my list of abandoned hobbies. This thing passes down through generations like trauma in a therapy session, except instead of emotional baggage, it's bringing actual murder. Here's the part that'll keep you up at night. Z doesn't just haunt your kid. It's playing 4D chess while you're still trying to figure out why your child is suddenly redirecting their room into an exorcism aesthetic. While you're Googling how to sell my possessed child and trying to get advice from your Facebook mom group, Z's already in your family and he's turning your family photos into his greatest hits of horror. He's got your kid painting demons on the wall and he's setting your house on fire. But the real kicker is when you try getting professional help. Picture explaining to a child psychologist that your kid's imaginary friend has a better long-term planning strategy than your retirement fund. I can barely explain to my doctor anything. Try explaining supernatural generational trauma that is an imaginary friend. But if you think a family destroying imaginary friend is rough, wait until your sister's apartment complex gets a demonic renovation from hell. Evil Dead Rise proves that demons finally discovered the housing market. They took one look at cabin prices and said, forget the woods, let's get that downtown high-rise murder view. Honestly, smarter financial planning than me in my early 20s. Why didn't I invest in Bitcoin when I was 4? I could have been a billionaire by now. Bitcoin, I don't like that stuff. And this isn't your standard cabin in the woods Evil Dead. This is what happens when supernatural entities get tired of rural life and decide to become urban professionals. Think less isolated horror and more demonic homeowners association. And you thought your building's pet policy was strict. Just leave the building and move out. Yeah, tell me you've never lived in an apartment without telling me. These demons spread faster than my student loan debt. And by the time you're reaching for your keys, your neighbors are already doing CrossFit with their own spines. And I thought my upstairs neighbors' 3 a.m. shenanigans were bad. But here's the real nightmare here. There's literally nowhere to run. Up, demons. Down, demons. Your neighbor's apartment? Well, Karen from 4B is currently using her intestines as fairy lights, so probably skip out on that floor. It's like the world's worst apartment viewing, and every unit comes with a complimentary procession and somehow still charges you a damage deposit. But the true horror here? In a cabin, you know you're potential murderers. In an apartment building though, that's 200 strangers at least who could kill you before getting getting possessed. And then you have all of their friends and family that come over to visit them. That's a lot of people. And good luck with an emergency call. What's your plan? Call 911? Hey, yeah, my sister's doing her best exorcist audition and my nephew just turned the elevator into a meat smoothie maker. Let's be honest, half the people that rent out there can't even get their building manager to fix a leaky faucet. Try getting maintenance or the police to go and check up on a demon. But if you think demonic neighbors are bad, wait until depression gets an Airbnb in your head and decides to sublease it to something far worse. The Babadook is what happens when your mental health issues get tired of being subtle and decide to manifest as a Victorian gentleman who definitely shops at Hot Topic. Finally, depression with a sense of style, which is more than I can say because I own some really weird shirts. I own a shirt that literally just says Fortnite, Fortnite, Fortnite. I'm not joking. This video gets 10,000 likes, I'll show it in another video. Most horror movies at least give you the dignity of running away. The Babadook though, this thing moves into your brain faster than my ex-wife Becky divorced me. Just get therapy, it'll definitely solve it. My brother in Christ, the Babadook is the therapy. If your therapist wore a top hat and showed you a director's cut of your trauma instead of asking how that makes you feel. But here's the real kick in the teeth here. You can't beat it, you can't banish it, you are stuck to live with it forever. The best you can do is negotiate shared custody of your consciousness like some sort of cosmic divorce settlement. And guess what? It gets weekends and holidays and every 3 a.m. when you're trying to sleep. The true horror hits when you realize this dapper nightmare is just your internal monologue putting on a costume. Imagine if every single negative thought you had of you watching right now instantly became a monster. The world would be over in like 5 minutes and nobody else gets it. Try explaining to your friends that your depression learned origami and started leaving pop-up book threats. I can barely convince people I'm fine when I am clearly not. Now imagine adding being haunted by a Victorian grief counselor from hell to that conversation. And also imagine dealing with this. But if you think your mental health becoming a fashion-forward demon is bad, wait until a maternal instinct gets a horror movie makeover. Literally. Goodnight Mommy asks the question, what if your mom came home different? Not discovered healing crystals on Facebook different. We're talking something is wearing mom's skin as a trendy fall outfit different. And I thought my mom's essential oils phase was scary. Most kids worry about their mom finding their browsing history or their report card. Let me just say I did not know how to clear my browsing history till the age of 16. Yeah. These twins though, they're playing the world's worst game of spot the difference, where losing means death and winning means, well, also death. Probably. It's like Home Alone, but if Kevin McAllister had an existential crisis instead of paint cans. Just call someone for help. They'll surely help you. Oh, sure. Let me just dial 911 and say, hi, my mom's acting sus. And not in the normal, she posts minion memes on Facebook way. Let's be real. You're not going to be convincing any authorities that your mom is actually not your mom. But here's the real psychological gut pinch. You're trapped in a house with something that has access to your entire childhood highlight reel. It knows your favorite cereal, your imaginary friend's name, and that time you peed yourself at Disney World. Either that's still mom in there, or something's been taking better notes on my life than I ever did in school. But the true horror creeps in with the little things. The way she tilts her head, how she smiles a second too late. It's like someone learned human behavior from an AI that was trained exclusively on Christmas movies. It's a little too perfect. And your memories, completely useless. Was mom always like this and you're just now noticing? Or is something wearing her face like a discount Halloween mask? But if you think family identity horror is rough, wait until Hollywood decides your soul is worth less than your Instagram follower count. Literally. Because starry eyes is what happens when I die for this job becomes less of a metaphor and more of the job requirement. Finally, a movie out there that makes my attempt at becoming a YouTuber look like a mentally stable career choice. Fun fact, it's not. This isn't your standard struggling actress meets creepy producer story. Though that's horrifying enough. Our girl Sarah discovers that the real price of fame isn't just your dignity and a soul-crushing Instagram addiction, it's your entire epidermis. Yeah, just don't take the role. Tell me you've never had imposter syndrome without telling me. When Hollywood offers to make you a star and it's the #1 thing you've wanted your entire life, are you gonna say no? A lot of people are gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna say no. But really, if you were in that situation, what would you do? But here's the real nightmare fuel. The physical transformation that they make you go through is just the appetizer. While most of us lose lose our minds for trying to get more than 12 likes on our Instagram posts, Sarah's literally shedding her humanity for IMDb credits. It's all the toxic influencer culture, but with a side of actual flesh melting. Turns out no pain, no gain hits different when your skin is doing a farewell Eras tour. Is this movie a metaphor for Taylor Swift? I don't know. Did I just piss off a lot of people saying that? I don't know anything about Taylor Swift, so please don't hurt me. The true horror though, everyone in the industry acts like this is totally normal. They're just casually like, we're gonna need you to metamorphose into an eldritch horror of pure ambition. Also, the rap parties bring your own booze. And all the while Sarah's thinking this is still better than her Yelp reviews from waitressing, so what's the real harm? But the most terrifying part, it's believable. In a world where people already sell their privacy, dignity, and breakfast choices for fame, watching someone literally molt their humanity for a leading role feels less like horror and more like a wannabe influencer's success story gone wrong. But if you think Hollywood body horror is bad, wait until alien parasites make your entire town look like a dating app profile picture gone wrong. So there's what happens when aliens discover Earth and decide to turn your entire town into a big alien breeding ground. Yeah, but this isn't your standard Independence Day situation where the aliens have the decency to blow up landmarks. No, these parasites start with the local car dealer, Grant, a man so nice they named him twice, till he becomes something that makes my passport photo look flattering, and that's saying something. Just leave town! My brother in Christ, by the time anyone notices something's wrong, the whole population is already more connected than my desperate attempts at networking on LinkedIn. These slugs spread faster than my ex-wife Becky's Why We Broke Up story did online. And that's with about the same amount of body horror. Here's the real nightmare fuel though. These parasites turn you into a walking, talking GPS for their meat-based social network. Imagine your entire town becomes a flesh Facebook where everyone's posting at once. And unfriending someone means literally splitting apart into two. But the truly messed up part, some people actually improve after infection. When your town drunk joins an alien hive mind and starts making better life choices than me, that's not just an invasion. That's a personal attack on my dignity. Though to be fair, even parasitic aliens would probably take one look at my life decisions and decide to find a better host, because let's be honest. And fighting back, please, these things are harder to get rid of than my commitment issues. They're like that one person who won't take the hint after a first date, except instead of sending you their Spotify playlist they made you, they're trying to absorb you into their collective alien consciousness. But if you think alien body horror is bad, wait until you see what happens when a boarding school's dark secret makes demonic possession look like a freshman orientation. I recently just watched this movie, and God, this is a good movie. The Blackcoat's daughter is what happens when someone looks at a Catholic school and thinks needs more Satan. But this isn't your standard spooky boarding school story where the worst thing is Mystery Meat Monday. We've got two girls abandoned during winter break. Already a terrifying setup, but then something weird goes down. I can already see you saying, just leave the school. With what transportation? We're in the middle of a snowstorm. The power of positive thinking, the campus is empty. Nobody is there. It's the middle of winter. Nobody is coming to get you. But the real psychological gut punch here is the demon isn't the villain. Loneliness is. You literally watch this movie and watch someone choose possession over being alone. That hits pretty damn hard. Can you imagine being so lonely that you would rather be possessed by a demon so at least you had someone to talk about? I can relate to that. And that's not even a joke. But like, that's such a cool concept when you think about it. The true horror though is the long game this thing plays. While other movie demons are doing their best Linda Blair impression, this one's playing psychological chess with more patience than my mom waiting for grandkids. It's not happening, Mom. And don't get me started on the nuns. They're either completely oblivious or running history's worst after-school program. Today's lesson, advanced demonology. Remember, possession is just spicy mindfulness. It's kind of like praying when you think about it. But do you think Satan's boarding school is rough? Wait and see what happens when withdrawal meets possession. And hitting rock bottom means finding something worse underneath. The Evil Dead, released in 2013, isn't just a horror movie. It's what happens when rock bottom starts digging. And unlike my rock bottom moments, which usually just involves drunk texting my ex-wife Becky, this one comes with a complimentary demon who's ready to make this look like a spa day. But this isn't your standard cabin in the woods situation where the teenagers die because they're too horny. 5 friends show up for a DIY rehab, which is already a bad idea. Here's a pro tip though. When your recovery spot comes with a basement full of dead cats and a book that's literally screaming at you, maybe try something else. Just don't read The Evil Brook. My brother in trauma, we as a species still fall for the Nigerian prince emails. There's a reason that became a joke, because people fell for it and they still do. Of course someone's gonna read the human skin-bound diary, and unlike my poor life choices, which only haunt me at 3 a.m., these consequences are immediate, permanent, and involve the kind of body horror that would make a grown man cry. But here's the real psychological kick in the teeth. The demon specifically targets the person at their lowest, the person fighting addiction. They take the most broken of everyone around them and then possess them to do horrible acts. But the true horror, nobody believes you when you need help most. Everyone at your cabin is just like, oh, she's just going through withdrawal, she's gonna be a little upset. And while that's happening, she's experiencing things that would make Cthulhu file a complaint with HR. And escape? Please. This demon's got more ways to kill you than I have commitment issues. And that's saying something. It turns every injury into a death scene that makes my dating history look like a Disney movie. And that's why these movies have a 0% survival rate, no matter how built different you think you are. Hit subscribe if you survived this video, and then like the video and comment why you think you would survive any of these movies. I'd hear you out, but there's no way you're surviving. But if you want to see more movies that you definitely wouldn't survive, hit the playlist on screen right now for tons of my other videos on this topic. I was watching a video essay last week about The Substance, which is a body horror movie that came out this year. And I noticed that all the comments looked very similar. I'm built different. Just don't be stupid and you'd live this. This wouldn't happen to me. Well, after studying thousands of body horror films, I've discovered something terrifying. There's one body horror movie that has a 100% kill rate. Not because it's violent, not because it's grotesque, but because it makes survival mathematically impossible. And no, it's not the one you're thinking of. But by the end of this video, I'll prove why even your built different genetics can't save you from this movie. But first, let's talk about why you wouldn't survive these other 9 transformations. And I already can see you typing in the comments, not me, I'm built different, I can domain expansion. I don't want to hear it. But if you really think you can survive, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel so I can continue to prove you wrong. Before James Gunn made dancing trees and talking raccoons, he created something that makes Thanos look like a Disney princess. Something that turns your entire town into an all-you-can-eat buffet, where you're the main course. Picture this, you're living in small town USA, the kind of place where the biggest drama is when your neighbor's dog pooped in your yard. Then something crashes from the sky, but it's not a friendly alien crash. We're talking about meat-hungry space slugs that treat your body like a free Airbnb. Just don't let them touch you. Oh, you sweet, sweet, naive child. These things move faster than your parents finding your embarrassing childhood photos when your friends come over to visit. 1 second you're taking out the trash, next second you are the trash. Let's break down your survival chances. 1. These parasites can enter through any opening, and they're very creative about making new ones. 2. They spread faster than your aunt sharing conspiracy theories on Facebook. And 3. The infected keep their memories, meaning your mom still remembers how to guilt trip you. She just also now wants to eat your face. But here's the real horror. The infected remember everything about you. Your best friend still knows your secrets. Your spouse still remembers your anniversary. They just also happen to be hosting an alien parasite potluck in their stomach. Think about it. When your best friend shows up at 3 a.m. crying, asking to come in, are you really gonna leave them outside? Because that's exactly how they get you. By the time you realize this isn't an emotional breakdown, but a dinner invitation where you're the main course, it's already too late. But if you think alien parasites turning your neighbors into all-you-can-eat restaurants is bad, wait until you see what happens when a party drug decides to literally reshape your social circle. And when I say reshape, I mean reshape. You ever been tempted to try something just once? I'll only do it on the weekends. I can control it. One time won't hurt. That's exactly what the main character of The Substance thought. Now she's watching her bones rearrange themselves like a drunk IKEA employee assembling furniture. See, she thought she could handle it. A week of being ugly for a week of being hot. Simple time management, right? Except here's what actually happens. The second that substance hits your system, you're not planning schedules anymore. You're planning your next fix. And trust me, your body's about to become very flexible with its definition of fix. You need to follow the delicate balance. Otherwise, bad things start happening. But let me hit you with a hypothetical. Let's say you're hot now. Would you ever want to be ugly again? Probably not. Most people are not going to be able to live 2 dual lives. It's literally almost impossible. So let's break down why you're not as strong as you think in this situation? 1. Your first transformation feels amazing. Imagine every single Instagram filter you've ever thought of all hitting your face at once. 2. But then the appeal starts wearing off faster than your New Year's resolutions. And 3. Suddenly you're not just choosing when to change, your body's doing it for you because your hot and ugly body are now fighting each other for control. And 4. That's when the real horror starts. I'll just stop when I'm satisfied. Yeah, that's what everyone says, but this isn't like your caffeine addiction. Have you ever been complimented by someone you like? That feeling is addicting. Now imagine it happening everywhere you go. You're not gonna want to go back to being ugly. The real horror isn't even the transformation. It's watching yourself make choices you swore you'd never make. You start to become a whole new person, literally. But if you think losing control of your body is bad, wait until you meet someone who's about to make all of those choices for you. Because the human centipede isn't just about losing control of your body, so it's someone else deciding exactly what to do with it. Picture this, you're backpacking down through Europe. Your car breaks down in the middle of nowhere. Classic horror movie setup, right? But this isn't about some masked killer with a chainsaw. No, you're about to meet someone way worse. A surgeon who looked at the human digestive system and thought, that bitch needs a sequel. The doctor isn't your typical movie villain. He's not some back alley hack job. He's literally one of the world's best surgeons out there. This is the kind of doctor who could separate conjoined twins, except he's more interested in the opposite. Just don't accept help from strangers. Oh, you think you'd recognize the danger? This man has a medical license, a prestigious home, and more degrees than your thermostat. By the time you realize this isn't a normal medical consultation, you're already more sedated than a wisdom tooth removal patient on YouTube. Let's dissect why you're completely done for and about to have two best friends for the rest of your life. 1. You're dealing with a surgeon who can literally rewrite your entire anatomy. 2. His medical knowledge means your sedation is perfectly calculated, you're not gonna escape. And 3, even if you do escape, your body's been, let's just say renovated beyond repair, because YouTube won't like the words I wanna actually use. 4, and the psychological trauma, that's just the side effect. But here's the real nightmare. You're aware enough to understand everything. Imagine being fully conscious, but completely unable to move, like sleep paralysis, but instead of seeing shadowy figures, you're watching a certified surgeon turn you into part of his human art project. The true horror isn't just the surgery, it's the complete destruction of individual autonomy. Every breath, every movement, every moment of your existence is now synchronized with your fellow segments. And you think your group projects were bad? Try coordinating basic bodily functions with 2 other people forever. And dear God, you do not want to be the middle person. But if you think being surgically transformed into a human Shane is the worst thing that could happen to you, wait until you meet someone who makes this doctor look like a school nurse. Because Tusk is about to show you why some Craigslist interviews should stay unanswered. Have you ever noticed how everyone's desperate to go viral? Meet Wallace, a podcaster who built his career mocking weird internet content. You know the type, the guy who thinks he's above it all, laughing at everyone else's expense. Well, he's about to become the world's most disturbing viral story himself, looking for someone to share fascinating life stories, room and board provided. Sounds like every journalist's dream, right? Except this isn't your typical human interest story. This is Howard Howe, a man who spent 30 years perfecting one very specific skill: turning humans into walruses. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, literally. You take you and you become walrus. Just leave when things start to get weird. Oh, you naive person. Howard isn't some amateur body modifier working out of his garage. This man has transformed his entire mansion into a psychological maze. Every room, every conversation, every cup of tea is part of a plan decades in the making. By the time you realize you're not interviewing him, he's interviewing you for a very specific position: permanent walrus resident. Let's dissect your complete lack of escape options. 1, you're in a giant mansion with no escape. 2, your host has more patience than a Dark Souls player fighting the same boss for the 100th time. And 3, the surgery isn't just physical, it's a complete psychological rebuild from the ground up. 4, and yes, you will have to learn to love raw fish. Hope you like sushi. But here's the real nightmare. Wallace made his career laughing at people's weird stories. Now he's becoming the weirdest story of all. The true horror here isn't just losing your human form, it's losing your humanity piece by piece while being completely aware of it. Imagine feeling your identity slip away like a melting ice cream cone, and instead it's replaced by walrus instincts. The worst part? A small part of you starts preferring it. But if you think becoming a walrus is the peak of body horror, wait until you see what happens when a routine autopsy reveals something that should have stayed buried, because the autopsy of Jane Doe is about to make you realize why some questions are better left unanswered. Every medical examiner has that one case that keeps them up at night. The weird ones, the unexplainable ones, but only one made them question everything they knew about human anatomy and death itself. Meet the Tildens, father and son morticians who've seen everything. 3 decades of experience, thousands of autopsies, the kind of professionals who can read a dead body like you read Twitter, until Jane Doe turned their medical textbooks into fiction. Just treat it like any other autopsy. Come on, man. Let me break down what they find in this movie in the first 5 minutes. No external wounds on a murder victim. Wrists and ankles shattered from the inside. Tongue removed with no incision, and that's just the appetizer of things that are medically impossible. Think about it. You're a professional in this movie. You've got more medical knowledge than WebMD on steroids, but every cut reveals something that violates the very laws of biology. Lungs black as coal in someone who's never smoked a cigarette. Internal scarring, but with pristine skin. Organs that look used multiple times. And a body that gets fresher the longer it's dead. But here's the real nightmare. You can't stop. Every discovery demands an explanation. Every impossible finding needs to make sense. You're watching science itself break down in front of you, and your professional pride won't let you walk away. It's like a puzzle where each piece you solve makes reality unravel even more. The true horror isn't just what's inside Jane Doe, it's how she turns your expertise against you. Each cut, each test, each logical decision pulls you deeper into her game. And by the time you realize this autopsy is actually your examination, well, let's just say Jane Doe is about to add 2 more specimens to her collection. But if you think an impossible autopsy is the worst thing that could happen in a morgue, wait until you see what happens when body modification stops being a choice and starts being a compulsion, because Titane is about to make your piercings look like temporary tattoos. You know those car commercials where they say, this vehicle becomes part of you? Yeah, Titane takes that literally. And I mean literally, not figuratively literally. We're talking about a movie that takes the Herbie series and combines it with 50 Shades of Grey. Starts simple enough. Young girl gets titanium plate in her head after a car crash. Standard medical procedure, right? Except that plate doesn't just become part of her brain, it rewires it. Imagine if your trauma didn't just give you trust issues, it gives you feelings for automobiles. And the cars, well, let's just say they like you back. Just avoid cars. My dude, have you seen modern society? That's like saying just avoid breathing. Besides, when your body starts producing motor oil instead of sweat, you're way past the point of a lifestyle change. Let's diagnose this automotive body horror. 1, your body is literally becoming diesel fuel. 2, your pregnancy test is positive after a night with a Cadillac. 3, Chrome isn't just a browser anymore. It's an appetite. And 4, your body count includes people and vehicles now. Yes, in this movie, she bangs a car. There's no other way of putting it. Here's where things get really messed up. To hide what she's becoming, Alexia has to destroy who she is. We're talking breaking every bone in her face, binding down her engine-pregnant body to hide her car baby, and becoming an entirely different person. The true horror isn't just the metal-flesh fusion. It's the complete disillusion of human identity. Every time Alexia breaks another bone to change her appearance, every time she swallows another mouthful of motor oil, she's not just changing her body, she's upgrading to a new model of existence. Warranty? There isn't one. But if you think becoming a human vehicle hybrid is the peak of body horror, wait until you see what happens when the 1% decides to take eating the rich literally, but in reverse. Because society is about to make your class anxiety look like a parking ticket. You know those lifestyle influencers showing off their old money aesthetic? Well, society is about to show you what old money really means. And trust me, it's not about tennis skirts and trust funds. It's about something much more digestible. Meet Bill, a teenager born into wealth who starts noticing something wrong with his family. Not my sister is like a furry or something wrong. More like I just saw my parents turn into living abstract art and absorb the housekeeping staff wrong. Yeah, that kind of wrong. Just avoid rich people. Dude, in this economy, that's like saying just don't breathe air. Besides, they're not just at the top of the food chain. They are the food chain. When they talk about liquid assets, they mean it literally. Let's dissect this capitalist nightmare. 1, the elite aren't just metaphorically consuming the lower class. They're having us for dinner. 2, their bodies can merge and reshape like living David Cronenberg if it was modern art. 3, that exclusive country club, it's actually their buffet line. And 4, You know those trickle-down economy effect they always talk about? Let's just say it's not economics they're trickling anymore. But here's the real nightmare. This isn't some new development. These creatures have been running things since before being rich was trendy. Every major historical event, every economic collapse, every suspicious disappearance of the working class, it wasn't just bad policy. It was dinner time. The true horror isn't discovering that the rich are actually shape-shifting parasites. It's realizing they're not even hiding it anymore. The fancy rich weekend getaway, more like an all-you-can-eat absorb buffet. That merger and acquisition, well, let's just say the merger part is very hands-on. But if you think shape-shifting rich people are the peak of body horror, wait until you see what happens when perfect imitation meets Among Us. Because the thing is about to make your social anxiety look like a casual handshake. You think your trust issues are bad? Imagine being trapped in the most isolated place on Earth with a creature that doesn't just wear your friends like suits, it becomes them so perfectly they don't even know they're not human anymore. Welcome to The Thing, where Among Us isn't just a game anymore. It starts with the oldest trick in the book, a cute dog running from danger. Because even in Antarctica, humans can't resist helping a pupper in distress. Except this good boy is actually a biological nightmare that makes COVID's infection rate look like amateur hour. And that's just the beginning of all their problems. Just check everyone's DNA. Dude, this thing is DNA. Every single cell is conscious. We're not talking about some mindless virus here. We're dealing with intelligent cancer that can do calculus. Each cell can think, plan, and perfectly replicate anything it touches. Your immune system isn't just outmatched, it's outwitted. Let's mathematically break down your extinction. 1, it copies memories perfectly. Your best friend isn't pretending to be your best friend. They are your best friend until they're not. 2, a single cell can infect an entire living organism. 3, you can't even trust your own body. You might be infected and not even know it. And 4, the best part, it learns from every failed attempt. But here's the real nightmare. The paranoia isn't just paranoia anymore. That weird laugh your friend just did could be the alien cells practicing human behavior. That handshake might be friendship, might be infection. That memory you have of yesterday might be yours, might be copied data. The true horror here isn't watching someone's head tear off and grow spider legs, though that's certainly a contender for worst party trick ever. It's the complete destruction of human connection. When perfect imitation meets isolation, trust doesn't just die, it becomes a liability. But if you think perfect cellular imitation is the peak of body horror, wait until you see what happens when a teleporter decides to play matchmaker with human and insect DNA, because the fly is about to make your worst Tinder date look like a fairy tale. So have you ever made a bad dating choice? Left swipe, right swipe, oops, matched with a housefly. Okay, that last one's just Seth Brundle's problem, but unlike your dating fails, his is about to rewrite his genetic code in ways that make body modification influencers look like they're playing with stickers. Meet Seth Brundle, genius scientist, awkward flirt, and about to become the world's first human insect fusion restaurant. And no, this isn't because of some shadowy government project or evil corporation. No, this man just literally merged his DNA with a fly because he was drunk and jealous. This makes all my drunk texts I've ever sent pretty tame in comparison. Just don't teleport drunk. Oh, honey, we're way past good life choices here. The real horror isn't the accident. It's watching someone get excited about their own genetic apocalypse. Imagine if your gym gains were actually countdown markers to becoming something that violates every law of nature. It's like if your protein shake was secretly genetic gasoline. Let's scientifically analyze why you're fucked if this happens to you. 1, your DNA isn't mutating. It's having an existential crisis. 2, every enhancement is actually a countdown to your extinction. 3, you maintain perfect scientific awareness of your own destruction. And 4, that new diet plan, it's called dissolving food with acid vomit. But here's the true nightmare, the self-awareness. Brundle doesn't just transform, he documents every excruciating detail with scientific precision. Imagine being so smart to understand exactly how you're becoming a monster, but your brilliant mind can only watch and take notes. It's like being the world's smartest passenger in your own genetic car crash. The real horror isn't watching fingers fall off or acid vomit dissolving donuts. It's the perfectly documented loss of self. You're not just dying, you're becoming a peer-reviewed case study in evolutionary horror. And the worst part, your scientist brain thinks it's cool. But if you thought this was bad, it's time to reveal which of these transformations actually has the mathematically impossible survival rate. Because sometimes the worst monster isn't the one that changes your body, it's the ones that make survival of the human race mathematically impossible. So why does The Thing have a mathematically proven 100% kill rate? Let's break down the science of perfect paranoia. Every other body horror movie we've discussed, they all give you a fighting chance, even if it's slim. But The Thing, it turns survival itself into a mathematical impossibility. Think about it. Every other transformation has visible signs. Brundlefly, you see the changes. Society's elite, they literally melt in front of you. Titane, there's motor oil everywhere. There's a car in your stomach. But the thing, perfect cellular imitation. No tests, no signs until it's too late. Let's do the actual math of survival. 1, in a group of 10 people, it takes just 1 cell to infect someone. 2, each person needs to sleep eventually. That's 8 hours of vulnerability. 3, the thing can infect you without you even knowing. And 4, even if you're not infected, you can't trust that you're not already the thing. This isn't just body horror, it's mathematical horror. Your chances of survival don't just decrease, they become negative numbers. The real mathematical nightmare here is even if you survive an encounter, the paranoia ensures you'll never survive long term. Every human interaction becomes a probability equation. That handshake you had with someone could be infection. That shared meal you had, potential assimilation. That moment you blinked, maybe you're already infected. The true horror here isn't just the physical transformation, it's the statistical certainty of doom. Other monsters might kill you, but the thing makes survival itself impossible. Even if you're alone, you can't trust your own memories. Are you still you? Or are you just a perfect copy thinking it's the original? That's why the thing has a 100% kill rate. It's not about the body horror, though that's nightmare fuel enough. It's not about the isolation, though that does drive you mad. It's about creating a scenario where survival isn't just unlikely, it is literally impossible. Because when perfect imitation meets isolation meets paranoia, the only certainty is extinction. In my last video, horror movies you absolutely would not survive, everybody in the comments said the exact same thing. Not me, I would survive that. But after analyzing thousands of found footage movies, I think I've found a ton of movies that nobody, and I mean nobody, survives. And trust me, if you think you will survive them, you're about to be proven wrong. Before I reveal which found footage creatures have literal 1000% kill rates, let's count down the top 10 that would absolutely destroy you and why they would. Hold up, but if you're already typing, not me though, in the comments, hit the like button, subscribe first. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll be deleting that comment. I've seen thousands of horror movies, and these monsters, they're built different. You're not that guy, pal. All right, let's start with something that seems totally harmless. A doggy daycare. I know what you're thinking. How bad could this be? Well, VHS Beyond is about to make you never trust a dog person again. You see this face? It's gonna get you. It's gonna get you. That's my dog Flapjack, but his nickname now is Chuba Corgo. Meet Becky. She's that person on your Facebook feed who calls herself a dog mom and posts daily photos of her fur babies. You know exactly who I'm talking about. Probably has one of those "Who Rescued Who" bumper stickers. Seems normal enough, right? She's a little bit crazy, but not enough that it's weird. That's exactly what she wants you to think though. But I'd notice if someone was crazy. My brother in Christ. Have you met dog people? We already normalized them dressing their pets in clothes and throwing them birthday parties. Becky just takes it to the next level. And by next level, I mean surgically transforming people into human dog hybrids in her basement. And before you type, "I'd just fight back," let me stop you right there. Becky's not working alone. She's got a whole pack of loyal human dog hybrids who are literally built different, genetically built different. We're not talking about people in furry costumes here. We're talking full-on body horror that would make David Cronenberg need therapy. Think about it. You're dealing with someone who has medical knowledge to perform these transformations, a pack of already transformed victims who are completely loyal to her, and years of experience perfecting this process. Sure, you might think your gym membership and that one self-defense class from 2019 would save you, but try fighting off something that has human intelligence and can lick its own. Well, you get the idea. The scariest part, once she transforms you, your mind goes too. You become completely loyal to her. It's like Stockholm Syndrome meets Best in Show, and you're the main attraction. But if you think getting turned into human dog hybrids is bad, just wait until you see what happens when an entire town's water supply gets contaminated with something that makes Becky's surgery look like a spa day. Let's talk about another movie that's going to make you never want to drink tap water again. The Bay. You know those hydro homies with the hydro flasks who tell you to drink more water? Yeah, they're not gonna like this one. Picture this, you're in a nice small town festival, everyone's having fun, maybe grabbing some food from some local stands, and then people start screaming. We're not talking about your typical horror movie chaos. We're talking about something way worse. Something that's already inside everyone. Just don't drink the water. Oh, you sweet summer child. These parasites are already in everything. The tap water, the shower, the ice in your drinks, snow cones, even the water they use to wash vegetables at restaurants and grocery stores. Basically, if you've touched water in the last 24 hours, you're already playing host to the world's worst roommates. And these aren't your regular parasites. You know those little cleaning bugs in fish tanks? Well, imagine those, but jacked up on steroids and toxic waste. And they've decided your organs look like an all-you-can-eat buffet. Let me break down why you're absolutely screwed. 1. By the time you notice something's wrong, it's already too late. 2. These things grow faster than your credit card debt during holiday season. And 3. The government's too busy covering it up to help. And don't even think about running to the hospital. They're already overwhelmed. And let's be honest, what's your insurance policy's stance on mutant isopod removal? Pretty sure that's not covered under your basic plan. And if you live in Canada like I do, we both know you're fucked. Our healthcare system is in shambles. They ain't gonna help you with some bugs. The worst part, these parasites eat you from the inside out while you're still alive. It's like having the world's worst stomach bug, except the bug is literal and it's having your liver for lunch. Literally. But if you think water-based parasites are bad, just wait until we talk about something that makes getting lost in the woods a permanent condition. Hope you weren't planning any camping trips soon, because the Blair Witch is up next and she's about to make your GPS completely useless. Picture this, you're out hiking, feeling all confident with your All Trails app and that compass you bought from REI. And suddenly, you realize you've been walking for 6 hours and somehow ended up exactly where you started. And that's when it hits you. The witch isn't just making you lost, she's straight up breaking reality. Just follow the sun. My brother in Christ. The Blair Witch doesn't care about your Boy Scout training. This isn't your regular took a wrong turn situation. She's literally rewriting the rules of space and time. Your GPS, dead. Your compass, having a stroke. Your sense of direction, about as useful as a chocolate teapot. Let me break it down for you. 1. She turns the entire forest into her personal Rubik's Cube. 2. Time stops making sense. You could walk for days thinking it's been hours. 3. She'll make you watch your friends disappear one by one. And don't even get me started on the psychological warfare. Those little stick figures hanging from trees, that's just her way of saying, welcome to the party. It's like the world's worst escape room, except you can't escape and the room is an entire forest. Sure, you might think, I've got great cardio, I'll just outrun whatever's out there. But how exactly do you outrun something that can make north become south? The absolute worst part, you never even see her. Ever. The Blair Witch is like that toxic ex who ruins your life without ever showing their face again. At least other monsters have the courtesy to let you see what's killing you. But if you think getting lost in a witch's forest is bad, just wait until you see what happens when a haunted house attraction decides to get a little too real. Because Hell House LLC is about to make Spirit Halloween look like Disneyland. You know those seasonal haunted houses where teenagers in Party City masks jump out and go boo? Yeah, this isn't that. This is what happens when the haunted house decides it wants a body count. Picture this, you're setting up your haunted attraction, thinking about all the sweet Halloween money you're gonna make. You've got creepy clowns, your spooky lighting, your dollar store cobwebs, basic haunted house stuff. Then one of your props decides to redecorate. Just don't work the night shift. Ha, my dude, these ghosts don't care about your work schedule. You could show up at noon with a packed lunch and a positive attitude, and these spirits will still find a way to turn your shift into a paranormal performance review. Let me break down why you're absolutely done for. 1. The props move on their own. And I mean really move, not just batteries dying move. 2. The ghosts are basically studying you like they're prepping for their PhD in terror. And 3. The building itself is playing for Teen Ghost. And here's the real kicker. These aren't your regular boo ghosts. They're like that one coworker who memorizes your schedule just to make your life hell. Except they can walk through walls and possess your animatronics. Good luck filing an HR complaint about that one. But if you think dealing with possessed props is rough, wait until you see what happens when grandma's dementia turns out to be something way, way worse. Let's talk about The Taking of Deborah Logan, the movie that's about to make you real suspicious the next time grandma seems a little off. You think it's bad when your grandparents figure out how to use Facebook? Just wait. So, this film crew shows up thinking they're about to make some touching documentary about Alzheimer's. You know, the kind of thing that wins awards and makes people cry. Instead, they get front row seats to watching grandma speedrun becoming a Dark Souls boss. Just get her some medication. My brother in Christ, no amount of Metamucil is going to fix this kind of senior problem. We're not talking about forgetting where she put her keys. We're talking about her climbing walls like Spider-Man and unhinging her jaw like a python at the all-you-can-eat buffet. Let me break it down for you why you're screwed. 1. Grandma's got supernatural strength. Your gym membership is not going to compete with this. 2. She knows all of your childhood trauma, and she's ready to weaponize it. Well, I mean, family members already kind of do that, but that's besides the point. And 3, her body can bend in ways that would make a pretzel feel inadequate. And here's the real nightmare fuel. This isn't just regular possession. This is what happens when an ancient evil decides to possess someone who already has unlimited access to your house and knows all your weaknesses. Sure, you might be thinking, I could totally outrun my grandma. I could just push her down the stairs and she'd be done for. But can you outrun someone who changed your diapers and can now crawl on ceilings? This isn't your regular eat your vegetables grandma. This is your I'm going to eat you grandma. But if you think a supernaturally possessed grandmother is terrifying, just wait until you meet someone who doesn't need any demon powers to be absolutely horrifying. Because this guy from Creep is about to make you never trust another online job posting again. So here's the setup. You're a broke videographer, probably close to the truth, already a horror story, and you get this easy money job offer. Some guy named Joseph wants to film a video diary for his unborn kid because he's dying of cancer. Aw, that's so wholesome. Spoiler alert, the only thing dying is, well, everyone who takes the job. Just do a background check. My brother in Christ, Joseph isn't even his real name. This man has more aliases than your ex's backup Instagram accounts. And trust me, you don't want to check his references. They're all in a body bag. Let me break down why Joseph is literally the worst job interviewer ever. 1, he's not even supernatural, just a regular dude who's really good at being creepy. 2, he'll spend weeks, even months playing the long game. And 3, he's got a highlight reel of his greatest hits. And by hits, I mean murders. Sure, you might be thinking, I've dealt with weird people before, I can handle this. But Joseph, he weaponizes awkwardness. He'll do something so weird that your brain will malfunction trying to process if you're the rude one for not playing along. The absolute worst part though, that creepy wolf mask, Peach Fuzz. It's not even the scariest thing about him. The scariest part is how he uses basic human politeness like a supervillain power. He's out here proving that the real horror isn't monsters or demons. It's the social anxiety of not wanting to seem rude when someone's clearly crossing boundaries. But if you think one methodical killer is bad, wait until we talk about something that turns an entire apartment building into a speed run of the apocalypse. Because Rex infected are about to make your noisy neighbors look like a blessing. So picture this, you're watching the most boring local TV segment ever. Just a reporter following firefighters on a routine call. Real mom's favorite show type of stuff. Then boom, everyone in the building goes from please keep it down after 10 to I will literally parkour across the ceiling to bite you. Just leave the building. My brother in Christ, the government sealed this place up faster than your ex blocking you on social media. We're talking full hazmat suits, military blockades, the works. The outside world basically put this building on their blocked contacts list. Let me break down what you're absolutely done for. 1, the infection moves faster than Twitter canceling a celebrity. 2, your neighbors suddenly have the cardio of Olympic athletes and the appetite of a mukbang streamer. And 3, the government's entire plan is just to Control-Alt-Delete on the building. And here's the real kicker. This isn't even your regular zombie virus. These infected zombies make World War Z zombies look like they're moving in slow motion. Sure, you might be thinking, I'll just camp it out in my apartment. Good luck with that. The absolute worst part, just when you think it's just a virus, surprise, there's a whole demonic twist. Because apparently regular rabies wasn't spicy enough. They had to add Satan to the mix. But if you think a building full of demon rage zombies is bad, wait until we talk about something that makes your cult following aunt's Facebook posts look totally sane. Because Safe Haven is about to show you what happens when a cult leader actually has supernatural powers. Safe Haven from VHS 2. Picture this, news crews show up to film what they think is just another Tuesday in a cult town. You know the vibe, white robes, weird chanting, probably some questionable religious tax write-offs. Then the cult leader decides to speedrun the apocalypse. Suddenly everyone's getting the world's worst membership upgrade. Just don't go into cult compounds, I hear you say. My brother in Christ, that's not even the problem here, because this isn't your regular drink the Kool-Aid situation. This cult leader actually has Amazon Prime shipping to hell, We're talking legitimate reality bending. I can turn my entire congregation into demon spawn powers. Let me break down why you're completely screwed. 1. The entire compound transforms faster than your ex moving on. 2. The cult leader can literally birth a demon god. Worst glow up ever. And 3. All the exits seal up faster than a YouTuber's Discord messages after drama. While these cultists say their product will transform your like, they mean you're literally going to transform into a demon. No boss babe hashtag can save you here. But if you think a cult summoning a demon god is bad, wait until we talk about something that makes sewage workers file for immediate retirement. Because Ratma is about to make you never look at a storm drain the same way again. Think those urban legends about sewer alligators are scary? Oh, you are horribly mistaken. Picture this, local news crews having the most boring day ever, investigating some Ratman story in the sewers. Basically, it's off-brand Batman. Then boom, they find something that makes Florida's wildlife look like a petting zoo. We're talking about a half-human, half-rat god that spits black goo and comes with more devoted followers than a BTS stan account. Just avoid the sewers. Ha ha ha, my brother in Christ, that's like saying just don't get wet when it rains. Because Ratma isn't just some underground cryptid doing its own thing. This bad boy's got a whole marketing strategy, and by marketing, I mean turning people into walking, talking brand ambassadors through projectile black bile. Let me break down why you're absolutely screwed. The sewers are basically Ratma's private Spotify playlist. It knows every single track in and out. 2, its infection spreads faster than misinformation on Twitter. And 3, once you're infected, you become its biggest hype man ever. You don't even need to apply. But the absolute worst part, even if you survive an encounter, you might end up like that news anchor, going from back to you, Tom, to Hail Ratma live on air. But if you think a rat god with a viral marketing campaign is bad, wait until we talk about something that makes your city's pothole problems look like a minor inconvenience. And finally, the big one, literally. Let's talk about the Cloverfield monster, the kaiju that makes Godzilla look like a chihuahua in a dinosaur costume. You think your city's infrastructure is bad now? Try adding a skyscraper-sized toddler with anger issues to your morning commute. You're at the world's most generic goodbye party in Manhattan. You know the vibe. Everyone's pretending to care that some guy named Rob is moving to Japan. Then boom, the Statue of Liberty's head decides to crowd surf through downtown. And everyone's Instagram story goes from living my best life to, oh God, oh God, oh God, we're all gonna die in about 3 seconds. Just leave the city, my brother in Christ. This thing is using the Empire State Building as a back scratcher. And those little parasites it keeps dropping everywhere, imagine if Australia's wildlife had a baby with the xenomorphs from Alien, and that baby really hated everyone in a 5-mile radius. Let me break down why you're absolutely done for. 1, this thing is taller than your credit card debt is deep. 2, its babies are like murder spiders on pre-workout. And 3, the military's entire strategy is make it more pissed off. But here's the real kicker. There's no weakness to exploit. The army shows up with their biggest guns, and it's like throwing cotton balls at a freight train. Their backup plan? Just delete Manhattan from the map, because apparently the only thing better than a giant monster is a giant monster in a spicy radioactive marinade. Sure, you might be thinking, I'll just hide in the subway. Great plan, except those parasites love tunnels more than TikTokers love dance trends. Plus, every time this thing takes a step, it registers on the Richter scale. But the absolute worst part, there's no winning move. Hide in a building, it might use that building as a toothpick. Run into the street, congratulations, you're now playing in traffic where the traffic is monster feet and parasites. Call for help? The government's already written off the whole city as a future monster memorial park. And that's why Cloverfield's monster tops our list. When your best survival strategy is hope it steps on me quickly and the government's solution is pretend New York was just a collective hallucination, you know we've hit peak we're all gonna die territory. At least the other monsters gave you the illusion of having a chance. I see the comments. Everyone says they're built different when it comes to facing off against horror villains. Last week I posted about horror movie monsters and 90% of the comments were, nah, I would have survived that. Well, I've spent 15 years studying slasher films and I've discovered the one killer that has a literal 100% kill rate. And yes, even against trained fighters. And no, it's not who you think it is. But before I reveal the most lethal slasher you would not survive, let's count down 10 kills killers that would absolutely destroy you, starting with the one that everyone thinks they could beat. But look, if you're already thinking, not me though, prove it. Hit the subscribe button and drop a like. Let's see if you're still feeling brave by the end of this video. Hint, you're not gonna be. Let's start with everyone's favorite easy mode killer, Ghostface. Every comment section I see about this guy is filled with the same energy. Just tackle him, bro. It's literally a dude in a Party City costume. My 3 weeks of self-defense classes prepared me for this. Hold up, guys. I might have to intervene. Let me explain why you're not making it past the first phone call, Mr. Built Different. You know what's funny about Ghostface? It's never just one killer. That's right, while you're doing your little UFC audition with the first one, their partner's already behind you, turning your spine into a modern art installation. But I don't answer unknown numbers. Cool story. Except Ghostface can spoof calls from your contacts. That's your mom's number calling, right? Right? Wrong. By the time you realize mom doesn't usually ask you to check your backyard at night, you're already getting a free ventilation system installed in your chest cavity. And all you keyboard warriors type in, I know martial arts. My brother in Christ, your 3 months of watching Joe Rogan podcasts isn't the flex you think it is. Ghostface has been studying their victims longer than you've been studying those YouTube self-defense videos you watch while eating chips. But here's the real kicker. These killers are usually just teenagers who've watched too many horror movies. You're not fighting Jason Bourne. You're fighting the president of the high school film club with a knife fetish. And somehow, that's worse. Because while you're trying to remember if you did your math homework, they have already choreographed your entire death scene. Think about it. They love horror movies. They're genre savvy enough to know every trick in the horror movie playbook, athletic enough to keep up with running victims, and smart enough to always have a backup plan. Meanwhile, let's be honest, we're all getting winded running up the stairs, and your backup plan is probably hit them really hard, bro. But hey, if you still think you could take someone you can actually see, wait until you meet our next killer, because at least with Ghostface, you can see them coming. Well, let's talk about the Invisible Man, and why your just throw paint on him strategy is about as useful as a screen door on a submarine. I see you typing thermal cameras, bro, and flour everywhere. Listen, I've seen Scooby-Doo too. My sweet, sweet child. This isn't your grandpa's Invisible Man wearing a bedsheet. We're dealing with Adrian Griffin. Imagine if Tony Stark had a psychotic break and decided to become your personal sleep paralysis demon. This is a $100 million military-grade optical camouflage suit. Look, your Ring doorbell isn't even catching your Amazon packages being stolen. You think it's gonna spot this guy? Let's destroy every brilliant survival strategy you're thinking of right now. I'll use thermal cameras. The suit regulates temperature. Congrats, you just spent your life savings to watch empty rooms. I'll set up motion sensors. He literally designs security systems for a living. That's like trying to outsmart Google with Bing. I'll stay in public. Cool. Now everyone can watch you get jumped by absolutely nothing while they record it for their TikTok video to go viral. Think about your daily routine and all those private moments you keep to yourself. Singing in the shower, practicing your anime monologues in the mirror, doing that little victory dance when your DoorDash arrives. Now imagine someone's been watching all of that, taking notes and deciding which embarrassing moment will be your last. But here's the real psychological warfare. He doesn't even need to kill you right away. He can just exist. Move your keys, turn on your shower at 3 a.m., reply K to your most important texts, and like your ex's Instagram posts from 2019. By week 2, you'll be in your kitchen arguing with your toaster just to prove you're not alone. And remember, this isn't some random dude who found an invisibility suit. This is a tech genius billionaire who's basically if Mark Zuckerberg was actually threatening. While you're Googling how to fight invisible people, he's already been in your room long enough to critique your browser history. If you think being hunted by someone you can't see is bad, just wait, because the Terror Train Killer is about to make you realize why being trapped in a metal tube going 80 miles per hour with a murderer is actually so much worse. Just run away. Yeah, about that. Let's talk about the Terror Train Killer, where your escape options are limited to A, becoming a human pancake at 80 miles per hour, or B, getting turned into a party favor by someone who treats murder like a costume contest. And spoiler alert, neither option comes with the survival bonus. Picture this, you're trapped on a train during New Year's Eve. Already a terrible situation. Combining drunk college students, formal wear, and heavy machinery is like mixing NyQuil and Dayquil. You're not supposed to do it, But here we are, and my mom likes to judge me on Tuesdays when I do it. I'll just stay in a group. Oh, you mean the group where the killer keeps swapping costumes faster than your ex is changing their relationship status? While you're playing detective, they've already been the conductor, the magician, and that sweet old lady that you kissed in the back of the booth for some reason. I didn't think you'd do that, but to each their own, you know? I'll just pull the emergency brake. Great, now you're in a stationary metal tube with a killer. It's like pausing your own death scene for dramatic effect. I'll jump between cars. In formal wear, in a suit, in heels and a dress, on a moving train. My brother in Christ, you can barely walk in dress shoes. I'll call for help. With what service though? This train's got a worse reception than my last wedding. And that was bad. And here's the real nightmare fuel. This killer is basically doing a deadly episode of Project Runway. While you're trying to spot them, they're out there serving looks and serving death. Is that blood part of your costume?
No, it's part of the costume.
It was not part of their costume. Think you can spot suspicious behavior? Good luck with that when everyone's 3 champagne bottles deep and doing the Macarena. The killer could commit murder right in front of you and people would still think it's all some sort of prank. Amazing performance, so realistic, sir. That is a crime scene. They're dead. The worst part, every train car you enter is another potential death trap. It's like the world's worst game show. Behind door number 1, certain death. Behind door number 2, also death. But this time there's jazz music playing. And if you think costume changes are terrifying, just wait. Because Chucky's about to make you realize why those Toy Story movies were actually horror films in disguise. Trust me, Woody never had a kill count like this. Just punt him like a football. Let's talk about Chucky and why your size jokes are about to get you turned into a human Pinterest fail. Everyone's got that one plan. I'd just kick him. Cool story. Tell that to the 30 plus people who tried that exact strategy and ended up as modern art installations. Look at them. Those innocent blue eyes, that wholesome outfit, those family-friendly catchphrases. Now add the soul of a serial killer who knows more about voodoo than your aunt knows about essential oils. While you're busy making short jokes at him, he's already cursed your entire family tree. I'd just throw him in a wood chipper. My brother in Christ, Chucky's got more comeback stories than that one couple that always got back together in high school. Let me break down why you're not surviving this homicidal Happy Meal toy. 1, he's got 30 years of murder experience in a fun-sized package. 2, his voodoo game is strong. 3, he can hide in spaces smaller and lower than my standards. And 4, every weapon in your house, he's got a travel-sized version. Let's play a fun game. Look around your room right now. Under your bed, Chucky-sized. Kitchen cabinets, Chucky-sized. That pile of laundry you've been ignoring? Congratulations, you've built him a luxury condo. But I'm stronger than a doll. Yeah, and an ant is stronger than you pound for pound, but you definitely still scream when one gets in your house. Chucky's got the strength of a full-grown man compressed into a Happy Meal prize. It's like fighting an angry bowling ball with a knife, except the bowling ball has better aim than you do. The absolute worst part, he doesn't even need to kill you immediately. He can just wait until you're vulnerable, or better yet, steal your whole body. Imagine getting evicted from your own flesh suit by something that looks like it belongs in the Toys R Us clearance bin. That's not just death, that's a whole identity theft crisis. But if you think a murderous doll is your worst nightmare, just wait, because Leatherface doesn't need magic or tricks. All he needs is about 30 seconds and a bit of cannibalism and incest to turn your escape plan into Texas's newest barbecue recipe. Just run away, my brother in Christ. Let me introduce you to Leatherface, the reason why Texas has a higher missing persons rate than your local gym after New Year's resolutions. And I see you typing, I'm fast though. Let's see how fast you are against a chainsaw-wielding bodybuilder who likes to play tag. Picture this, you're stranded in rural Texas. Your phone's showing no service, and your car just died harder than my dreams of becoming a full-time YouTuber. Already a nightmare, right? Well, it gets better, because while you're busy trying to become the first person to fix your car by just turning it on and off again, there's a 6'3" walking apocalypse who's about to turn you into his next fashion statement. I just defend myself. Let me break down why you're about to become Texas's most innovative barbecue recipe. 1, this man does CrossFit with industrial power tools. 2, his cardio routine is literally chasing people with a chainsaw. 3, his family's got a Yelp review section in the missing persons database. 4, your survival skills, he's got more experience with human anatomy than your entire pre-med class. Think about your brilliant escape plan. Running? This guy treats a chainsaw like it's a lightweight accessory. While you're getting winded running up the stairs, he's doing parkour with power tools. It's not even a chase scene. He's a cat and you're a mouse. The absolute worst part though, if you thought your family reunions were uncomfortable, wait until you're literally the main course. The Sawyer family makes your Thanksgiving political arguments look like a Disney Channel special. At least your uncle's conspiracy theories don't end with actual cannibalism. But if you think a chainsaw-wielding fitness enthusiast is your worst nightmare, just wait, because Jigsaw doesn't just want to kill you. He wants to turn your death into an escape room TED Talk about appreciating life. And trust me, he has some pretty crazy motivational speeches. At least Leatherface doesn't play games. And let's talk about Jigsaw, the only killer who turns self-improvement into a literal dead-end career. Think your gym trainer is tough? At least they don't make you choose between your morning cardio and keeping all your limbs attached. Picture this, you wake up with what feels like the world's worst hangover, except instead of drunk texting your ex, you're wearing the world's most aggressive orthodontic device. It's a bear trap in your mouth. And there's Billy the puppet, rolling up on his tricycle like the world's most murderous DoorDash driver.
I want to play a game.
Okay. I do escape rooms every weekend. Let me break down why your little puzzle solving badge from Reddit isn't gonna save you. 1, these aren't puzzles, they're trauma packages with countdown timers. 2, the only hint system in this escape room is your own screaming. 3, every solution requires more sacrifice than when my ex-wife took the kids. And 4, you've got 60 seconds to make decisions your therapist would need 3 years to unpack. Think you handle pressure well? My brother in Christ. Me and you have panic attacks when someone takes too long at Starbucks. Now try solving a deadly puzzle while wearing what looks like Hot Topics take on dental equipment. Your experience of binge watching MacGyver while scrolling TikTok isn't the flex you think it is. But I'm good at thinking fast. Dude, you can't even decide what you want to watch on Netflix after 2 hours. Now you've got 30 seconds to make a choice between losing your eyes and which hand is your favorite. There's no skip intro button on these life lessons. But the absolute worst part, he's not even trying to just kill you. He's trying to make you appreciate life through aggressive interior decorating of your insides. It's like having a murderous life coach who took no pain, no gain way too literally. Hear me out, I think Headspace, the app, could sponsor Jigsaw. Someone give me some money for that idea. But hey, if you think Jigsaw's twisted life lessons are bad, just wait, because Michael Myers, no not Shrek, doesn't care about your character development or your survival skills. He just wants to add you to his family reunion body count. And trust me, this is one Halloween party that doesn't end with candy. You know, at least Jigsaw plays by the rules. Well, let's talk about Michael Myers. The reason why Haddingfield's babysitting ads now read survival skills required, health insurance mandatory. And I see you typing, just shoot him with a gun. People have been using him as target practice since 1978. He treats bullets like they're mosquitoes. Mildly annoying, but ultimately ignorable. Here's the thing that makes Michael actually terrifying. He's basically death with a driver's license. He doesn't run, doesn't need to. While you're doing your best Olympic sprinter audition getting away from him, he's just walking. He's just a chill guy coming at you, and somehow he's still right behind you. It's like trying to outrun all of the bad decisions you've ever made in life. Doesn't matter how fast you go, they'll always be there. I know self-defense though. Let me break down why you're about to become this small town's most ambitious obituary. 1, this man's been shot more times than a cop that got startled at an acorn falling on a car. 2, he's survived so many explosions. 3, he gets stabbed and treats it like a mild inconvenience. And 4, your UFC watching experience, he uses cars as workout equipment. Think you're built different? This man got shot 6 times, fell off a building, and got up like someone just paused his nap. Meanwhile, people like us need a day off work when we get too stressed. The audacity of the confidence is honestly impressive. But I've got weapons. Sweetie, the entire police force turned him into a shooting gallery, and he responded by typing skill issue in chat. Your little pocket knife might as well be a strongly worded email. He's just gonna ignore it. But the absolute worst part, he's not even angry. No emotion, no witty one-liners, no dramatic monologues about your sins. He's just a chill guy who likes to kill. He's like a Roomba programmed for murder. Imagine trying to reason with a national disaster wearing Dickies. You can't negotiate with him any more than you can argue with gravity. But hey, if you think an unstoppable force in reality is bad, just wait. Because Freddy, not Fazbear, is about to show you why counting sheep is actually counting down your death. I hope that coffee addiction is stronger than your will to live. Just don't sleep. Yeah, let's see how that works out after 3 days of your caffeine-powered survival strategy. Let's talk about Freddy Krueger, the reason why your insomnia might actually be keeping you alive. Here's the thing that makes Freddy actually terrifying. He's basically got admin privileges to your brain server. While you're out here thinking your little lucid dreaming practice will save you, he's been running nightmare.exe in your brain since before you had object permanence. This isn't your casual dream about failing math class or your girlfriend breaking up with you. This is psychological warfare with a side of a crispy comedian. I'm good at fighting in my dreams though. 1, you're lying. 2, let me break down why your imaginary kung fu isn't saving you from this burnt Discord mod. 1, he's got creative control over the dream. 2, he turns your darkest fears into his personal Netflix series to watch whenever he wants. 3, he can literally reshape reality faster than you can say, but that was just a dream. And 4, your sleep paralysis demon subscribes to his Patreon. You know, there's a bunch of those finance bros out there and they all like the big finance guy. Well, all the sleep paralysis demons, Freddy Krueger's their finance guy. Think you're creative? This man turns dreamscapes into death traps like he's hosting the world's worst HGTV show. Your little I can fly in my dreams party trick? Cute. He'll turn gravity into a blender and your confidence into a meatball. And that's just his warm-up routine. But I barely sleep anyway. Dude, those 3-second micronaps you take during class, that's all Freddy needs to turn your brain into his personal YouTube channel. And trust me, this guy's got a really messed up content strategy. But the absolute worst part, he's basically a murderous stand-up comedian. Imagine your last moments being a roast session from a dude who looks like he lost a fight with a George Foreman grill. This would literally be like if Pete Davidson went off the deep end. But if you think dream death is the worst way to go, just wait. Because Pinhead's about to show you why eternal torment makes Freddy's nightmares look like a Disney Plus special. Hope you didn't have any plans for forever, because it's time to talk about our final killer, Pinhead. The reason why solving puzzles shouldn't be your personality trait. And I see you typing, just don't open the box that releases him. My brother in Christ, we both know that even you can't resist clicking on those hot singles in your area ads. You're gonna open the box. Here's the thing that makes Pinhead actually terrifying. Death isn't even on his menu. While other killers are out here ending high schoolers' careers, he's offering eternal experiences. That's HR speak for infinite torture. And his Glassdoor reviews on that job, let's just say no one's alive to leave one. I'd resist the temptation to open the box. Let me break down why your curiosity is about to earn you a premium subscription to Pain Plus. 1, man's got more torture methods than you have streaming services right now. 2, he turns body modification into an Olympic sport. 3, he has a PhD in pain with a minor in eternal suffering. And 4, your safe word during roleplay, he adds it to his Spotify torture playlist. Think you're tough? This man makes my dating history look like a Disney Channel original. But I handle pain well. Dude, you have a mental breakdown when McDonald's gets your order wrong. Pinhead doesn't just hurt you. He turns you into the world's most aggressive Pinterest DIY project. Trust me, no amount of essential oils is fixing this makeover. The absolute worst part, he's basically a murderous British literature professor. Imagine getting eternal torment from someone who sounds like he should be narrating nature documentaries.
Your suffering will be legendary.
Is the fanciest way anyone's ever told you you're about to become a permanent modern art exhibit. And if you're wondering why I say that group of words so often, it's because if I say the real words, I get banned. So, we like art. And that's why Pinhead tops our list of slashers you wouldn't survive. Because while other killers might end your story, he's making sure yours never ends. And trust me, that's so much worse. Oh, you're built different? You would have survived that horror movie? Well, today we're looking at 10 Christmas horror movies that would absolutely wreck you. No matter how much eggnog you're drinking or how many horror movies you've watched, you're not gonna survive these. And the last one, it has a 100% kill rate, even against the built different crowd that loves to watch my videos. So let's see how different you're really built. But before you start typing in my comments saying that, hit the subscribe button, because by the end of this video, you'll be seeing why Santa Claus is about to give you a very bad Christmas present. Death. Let's start with something everyone in the comments is gonna think they can handle. Better watch out, or as I like to call it, why you should never trust anyone under 4 feet tall. I mean, let's be honest. I've watched Home Alone 67 times. I know all the tricks. I'm a black belt. I just roundhouse kicked the elf. My Ring doorbell would save me. Ha ha ha. Oh, you sweet, sweet child. This isn't the movie you think it is. Picture this, you're babysitting on Christmas Eve. You've got your phone, your security system, maybe even that pocket knife you bought from Amazon because you're tactical. You're feeling really confident about handling any home invaders, aren't you? probably already planning which furniture to throw at them, which window to escape from, yada yada, the whole 9 yards. But here's the thing about Better Watch Out. It's not playing by your rules. While you're over there doing push-ups in the comment section getting ready to fight this bad guy, this film is about to remind you that sometimes the biggest threat isn't the stranger trying to break in. It's the angel-faced kid sitting next to you, sipping hot cocoa and asking about your favorite way to die. But I'm great with kids, my brother in Christ. This isn't a babysitting job. It's the #1 reason and why some people shouldn't be allowed to watch Home Alone. This kid makes Kevin McAllister look like a Teletubbies character, even after all the stuff he went through as an adult. Sure, you might be jacked, maybe you even do CrossFit, but while you're busy planning on how you're gonna beat this thing, this pint-sized psychopath has turned every Christmas decoration in the house into a death trap. That's right, the tinsel, weapon. The ornaments, weapon. That cute little angel on top of the tree, oh, you better believe that is a weapon. And just when you think you figured out the game, that's when you realize you've been playing checkers while this kid's been playing 4D murder chess. You know those people saying, I would have easily survived this movie. Well, this movie exists specifically to humble people like you. You're not gonna beat a home invader. But if you think outsmarting a homicidal Home Alone fan is tough, wait until you see what happens when Santa's Workshop goes full Jurassic Park. Because Gremlins is about to make you realize that sometimes the cutest Christmas presents have the highest body count. Just give me a baseball bat in 10 minutes. That's gonna be every tough guy in my comment section before watching the Gremlins. Let's humble you real quick. Look at this adorable little guy. Bet you're thinking this is gonna be easy. It's not gonna be easy. Bro, they're like hamster sized. I sleep with a knife under my pillow. I've got security cameras. Let me explain why no amount of being jacked or fit or strong is gonna help here. These things reproduce faster than rabbits. One minute you're showing off your new Christmas present, the next minute your house looks like a scaled down monster mosh pit. But I'm responsible, I just follow the rules. You? Let's be honest, are you really gonna follow the rules? These creatures are literally testing your ability to not get them wet, keep them out of bright light, and to never feed them after midnight. And here's the part all the I'm built different folks keep missing. These aren't mindless monsters. While you're busy trying to go about your day, these little demons are learning your entire routine. They're literally studying you. Think about it. They can operate complex machinery. They can form battle strategies. They can learn from their mistakes, and they can somehow make your microwave even more complicated than it already is. But the real nightmare? They're smart enough to psychologically torture you first. Imagine getting murdered while your attackers are performing a full Disney musical number. That's not just death, that's death with a choreographed routine. And if you're that guy that's like, I've got weapons, people. They literally take your own arsenal of weapons and use it against you. That tactical gear you ordered off wish.com, congratulations, you've just armed the enemy. Your home security defense system, they're using it to make TikToks of your death. But if you think an army of singing murder goblins is rough, wait until you meet the OG Christmas killer who makes modern slashers look like mall Santas. Because Black Christmas is about to teach you why sometimes the worst phone calls aren't from your extended family asking about your relationship status. Just track the calls. Okay, we've all seen this in movies, but does anyone watching this actually know how to trace a call? Probably not. Let me introduce you to Billy, the guy who was doing phone stalking before your parents even had a Nokia. And no amount of block caller buttons are gonna save you here. I've got a Ring doorbell. I'll just use a phone tracker. Nobody even uses landlines anymore. These are all things I hear, but my brother in Christ, this isn't your regular spam caller trying to get you to buy gift cards. Billy is the reason your grandma still answers unknown numbers, because sometimes not picking up is actually worse. Let me break down why any amount of security tips you read online aren't gonna mean shit here. 1. He's already inside your house. 2, he's been there longer than you have. And 3, he's turning your Christmas break into a snuff film. But I don't even answer my mom's calls. Good strategy, dude. While you're ghosting everyone like it's your job, Billy's up in your attic, critiquing your interior design choices and probably judging every choice you make. He's not just watching you, he's reviewing you, studying you. Here's what makes Billy the ultimate Christmas killer. He doesn't want a quick kill. No, this man wants a whole conversation first. And here's the real nightmare fuel. In modern horror movies, killers at least have the courtesy to wear a mask or carry a signature weapon. But Billy, you won't know what he looks like until you're already dead. And for everyone that's saying, I've got a gun, I've got pepper spray, while you're fumbling with your self-defense stuff, Billy's already live streaming your last moments on your own social media accounts. But if you think a phone stalking killer is bad, wait until you meet the original Santa. And trust me, this one isn't interested in your cookies, because Rare Exports is about to show you why being on the naughty list means you're not just losing your Christmas presents, you're losing your life. Santa's not real anyway. Famous last words from everyone who's about to learn why Finland has more metal bands than shopping malls. Welcome to Rare Exports, where Santa isn't just real. He's a prehistoric murder god who makes Krampus look like an Instagram influencer. Can you imagine being such an evil badass that the only way you're willing to not hurt people is if they give you cookies? That's pretty messed up. But let me destroy your Christmas spirit with some facts. 1. This Santa predates Christianity itself. 2. His elves are actually a naked army of elderly Finnish hunters. And 3. That milk that you leave out, he prefers blood. Lots of it. And 4. Your Christmas lights aren't gonna save you. He owns the dark. But I've got my tactical survival gear. Congratulations on effectively bringing a flashlight to nuclear warfare. While you're busy flexing all your cool survival apocalypse skills you brag about on Reddit, these ancient predators are turning your winter wonderland into a horror movie that would make John Carpenter need therapy. And for all you I don't believe in Santa edgelords, that's exactly what he wants. While you're making fun of little Timmy for believing in Santa still, his army of naked murder elves are already learning your daily routine. But if you think prehistoric Santa and his nude murder squad is rough, wait until you meet the holiday spirit who actually enjoys paperwork. Because Krampus doesn't just punish the naughty. He's got a whole bureaucracy of horror, and your attitude you're giving me right now just put you on the naughty list. Christmas is mid. Congratulations, you just speed ran your way onto a supernatural hit list that makes Satan look like a mall cop. You think losing your Christmas spirit just means no presents? Nah, it just means you volunteered your entire family tree for an extinction level event. Christmas is just capitalism. Holiday cheer is cringe. It's giving corporate propaganda. My dude, your edgy Christmas takes just summon something that makes my ex-wife Susan look like she has a soul. Let me explain why your hating Christmas mentality just bought you a first-class ticket to fucking around and finding out. 1, you can't just get rid of Krampus. This isn't someone you can just hit the block button on. 2, his elves? Imagine if Hot Topic had a baby with your darkest nightmares. 3, your Christmas decorations? They're about to decorate you. 4, that crazy snowstorm outside? That's like his Fortnite Battle Royale arena. And 5, there is no way to get off this man's naughty list. But I've got home security. You think your Ring doorbell can stop something that's been collecting souls since before electricity was invented? While you're busy texting your friends because your mom didn't get you what you want on Christmas morning, Krampus is turning your smart home into the world's deadliest escape room. Yeah, you're fucked. But here's the real psychological warfare. Everything that made Christmas magical as a kid becomes your personal nightmare. Those elf on the shelf memes hit different when the elf starts hunting you for sport. And that gingerbread house? Yeah, it's not the thing getting eaten anymore. You're about to be eaten. But you think edgy Christmas deebings are scary? Wait until you see what happens when we have a musical for a zombie apocalypse. We gotta talk about Anna and the Apocalypse. Zombies are easy, just don't get bit. Famous last words from everyone who's about to discover why Dancing with the Stars should never meet The Walking Dead. Welcome to Anna and the Apocalypse, where your zombie survival guide becomes a Broadway playbill, and your Last of Us skills mean absolutely nothing. I've already got my zombie loadout planned. I just need a baseball bat and to run. I've memorized all the CDC protocols. My dude, your Call of Duty Zombies experience isn't gonna help when the undead are hitting better dance moves than your TikToks. Like literally, this is a musical, they're all dancing. Let me shatter your weird male survival fantasies with some facts. 1, these zombies don't just want your brains, they also want a standing ovation from the crowd. 2, your survival skins are gonna need jazz skills now. Do you have jazz skills? I don't see any jazz hands from you. 3, stealth. Try staying quiet during a mandatory musical. And 4, that zombie horde, they've got better choreography than your high school dance team. Have you ever seen a dancer who's like actually skilled? They look like ninjas with the way they're flipping around. Now give them weapons. Yeah, but here's the real nightmare fuel. You have to fight for your life while maintaining perfect pitch in a musical. And the zombies will eat you if you miss that high note. But honestly, jazz hand zombies may be rough, but wait until your family road trip becomes an express lane to eternal damnation. What am I talking about? Dead end. Just follow the GPS. Famous last words from everyone who's about to discover why some roads aren't on Apple Maps, Google Maps, or even that sketchy navigation app you downloaded that sounds like DJ Khaled. Am I the only one that remembers that I know that existed at one point in my life? Yeah, but I've got 3 different GPS apps. My car has built-in navigation. I'm actually a 5-star Uber driver. My dude, your technology can't help you when the road itself decides to gaslight you. Your Apple Siri Maps thingy can't help you now, because she's as lost as your will to live's about to be. Let me destroy your road trip confidence with some facts. 1, every turn leads back to where you started. It's like my addiction of throwing bananas at people at the grocery store. I literally cannot stop. 2, your gas tank never empties, which sounds great until you realize why. 3, that car behind you, well, that's death in his personal Uber. Yeah, you're fucked. And 4, the helpful strangers you find on the road, yeah, they're already dead. And 5, that shortcut you found, congratulations. You just opted in for the premium suffering package. But I'll just check Google Maps, everything will be okay. Cool, but we're in the middle of a snowstorm because your phone's about to have less bars than my social life. Reality is turning your family bonding time into an internal episode of Black Mirror, except this time it's the Christmas edition. But the true horror, the road doesn't just want your soul. It wants to watch as you and your family implode on each other in real time. Every single mile you go, it's the road wanting you to blow up and bring up generational trauma with each other. Have you ever tried talking to your parents about a personal problem you had? Yeah. How did that go? If you think an endless road trip through hell is rough, wait until your cozy winter cabin becomes a psychological torture chamber, because the lodge is about to show you why sometimes the real horror isn't being trapped with your family. It's discovering what's trapped inside your own mind. Okay, well maybe I needed a break from everything anyways. Famous last words from someone who's about to discover why solitude is actually psychological warfare's favorite weapon. This is the lodge, and no, this is not going to be a fun little Christmas vacation with the fam. I can already hear you saying, finally, I'd love to be at a cottage. This is perfect for working on my inner mindfulness. My dude, me and you both know that we both get anxiety after our phone dies after 5 minutes. Let's try surviving when reality itself decides to really mess with us. So let me destroy your cabin retreat fantasies with some facts. 1, the cozy isolation. It's about to isolate your sanity from your brain. 2, your trauma isn't just unpacking, it's redecorating the cabin. 3, reality just becomes optional. Yeah. 4, the void is watching, and it is staring right back at you. But the real horror, you won't even know when you've lost it. Is the snow outside real? Is that reflection in the window yours? Is this cabin actually a cabin? Or is it just the waiting room of a psych ward? Plot twist, asking these questions means it's already too late. Anyways, moving the existential threat away, wait until you meet Santa, who makes your seasonal depression look like a winter wonderland. Because Silent Night, Deadly Night is about to show you why sometimes the real horror isn't getting coal in your stocking. It's getting your stocking stuffed with pure nightmare fuel. Mall Santas aren't scary. Those are last words from everyone who's about to learn why this particular Saint Nick makes Krampus look like a mall elf on minimum wage. Welcome to Silent Night, Deadly Night, where Christmas trauma puts on a red suit and decides therapy is overrated. To them, murder is cheaper and easier. Well, Santa's just a guy in a costume. What's he gonna do? Give me coal? My guy, this Santa does not care about anything you have to say. He's too busy making his own list of creative ways to turn holiday cheer into horror. And trust me, he's checking it way more than twice. Let me permanently ruin your childhood memories with some facts about this Santa. 1, his toy workshop is a crime scene mood board. 2, those reindeer games? More like you're not gonna survive these games. 3, he's got more trauma than the average Gen Alpha posting on TikTok. 4, the naughty list is just his body count spreadsheet. And 5, those Christmas bells, they toll when he's coming for you. But the even more disturbing horror, this Santa's got a villain backstory that makes your childhood trauma look like a Hallmark movie plot. Literally, this dude has got so much baggage that no amount of therapy is going to save him. This isn't just murder. It's like festive psychological trauma issues with a bit of tinsel around it. And for everyone that's saying, yeah, I'm jacked, bro, I can handle Santa. Santa's built like a semi-truck. Nobody's beating this man in a fight. So, a bunch of Christmas killers still think you're built different? Still convinced you survived? Well, here's what you should do if you think you're built different. Hit the subscribe button. Drop a comment telling me which Christmas horror you would definitely survive, and then click right here for even more horror movies that you have zero chance surviving.